Well, happy Friday night, everybody. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. It is cocktail night. It is gallery night. This is our favorite time of the month, isn't it? I'm not sure that we've been doing it every month lately. I'm going to have to double check that. It has just been wild times, but man, it's great to sit down at this table and know that we are having a gallery night tonight and to know that you all sent in such beautiful stuff. I hope I caught everything that came in. Shannon does the putting together, and Shannon, huge shout out to you. Thank you so much for getting the show ready for tonight. I literally couldn't do it without you. There would be nothing to do. Only so many hours in the day, man. Oh, God, did I get wound up 5 minutes before the show started. Somebody ordering something on Transfer Medium and then complaining about it because she didn't know what it was. Whew, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Isn't life just something? Something, right? I'm not going to, help me come out of it. Swimming out of it. I need a drink. My husband's running across the street. There's a booze store across the street. I said, please get me a nice summer ale. See, now I have to put calories into my body because of that wind up, and that is also not fair. I work so hard, but here we are. Here we are together. This is the payoff. We get to come together on a Friday, look at each other's work, see what everybody else is working on, what they're thinking, what projects are on deck, what projects are in process, what projects were completed. Super exciting. My hair is not green, by the way. It's the green screen. Don't I have a beautiful piece behind me? The piece I used for the thumbnail today by my buddy Julie Hassler, who I met in person when she came to a class in Madison, Connecticut. Love this piece, and it's so perfect for tonight. It has an air of celebration, I thought. So many things to celebrate, so many things to talk about. Let me give a quick hello, and then we'll start digging in. There's a lot to look at tonight, too. Kaz, it's great to see you. Happy Friday night in Wisconsin. It is super great to see you. Melanie, super great to see you. Happy Friday from warm and sunny Washington State. Andrea, I got your piece in there. Happy Friday night. Cheers, my dears. I'm going to cheers my water cup just until that beer finds its way into my fist. Cheers, my dears. It's not just water. It has that squirt stuff. You know, this stuff that is at the grocery store, and you squirt a little bit in, and it's like tastes like Kool-Aid or something. It's probably also got tons of calories, but God, it tastes so good. There's like 1,000 flavors. Cheers, my dears. Ooh, vanilla spiced gin. Not good to drink alone, but there's always a few hookers for company. That's it. That's it. It's a party. It's a party. It's allowed. Cheryl, great to see you. Happy gallery night. Gorgeous. Was it gorgeous on the Cape today? Everyone enjoying the beaches. Isn't that so nice? I love thinking about like the different seasons and what people are up to, you know. And sometimes I get triggered when we live like half an hour to the Connecticut beaches, which is quite far. But as soon as you get on the highway and you head in that direction, when it's a beautiful day, it's just stop traffic all the time, right? It's still Connecticut. And sometimes I get so upset because I think, man, I just turn into a nervous wreck when I'm sitting in stop traffic. But then I stop and think, wait a minute. It is a beautiful day. We are in stop traffic, not because someone had a fatality or is driving crazy and got into an accident, but because it's a beautiful day and everybody wants to be at the beach. Isn't that exactly how it's supposed to be? It's still aggravating. Of course, it's still aggravating. But I try to remind myself for all of the seasons, all the different nice things there are to do, and how everybody wants to do them, right? And that's why. But the Cape sounds amazing today. I wish I was there today. It was a bit cooler here. And I do have my fan on me, right? Menopause, knock, knock, who's there? Menopause. So let me know if the fan is too loud. It's hitting me in the legs. That's the best I can hope for right now, because if I get it too close to me, you won't be able to hear the show. Happy day, Cheryl. Pam, great to see you. Happy gallery night from Liberty, South Carolina. I hope everybody's feeling better in your house. Is Tommy doing okay too? Nasty old COVID. Oh, it's still hanging on. Oh no. But I refuse to let it get me down. Oh no. It was such I don't want to say it was such a good start, but it started off fairly slow, and I thought, oh, maybe they're going to be very lucky. But it sounds like you were not very lucky. I'm so sorry to hear that. What a super bummer. Well, happy Friday night. I'm glad that you're there. I hope that you and Tommy are doing okay. And Chrissy, great to see you. Cheers, my dears. Happy Friday night, my love. I have something. You sent something that you found. You found a treasure, and that's in the show for tonight. Mom, you are not fooling around. Double Bloody Mary and little snacks for supper. That sounds so perfect. Comfy, cool evening here in Granby. So happy to be with Deanna and all of you. Oh, that sounds so nice. Can't wait to see you again next week. In the summer, we bomb in on my mom, me and the kids, quite a bit because it's just such a nice change of scenery. You know, it's so much more quiet and country over there because we're right. I don't know if you just heard that motorcycle blow by on cue. Nothing against motorcycles, just the noise, right? Just the noise of being right outside of New Haven, and over where my mom is. It's so country and pretty. And when we went last week, I walked down to the creek with Jocelyn, and it was like, I think it was like 90, but it felt like it was 190, you know, one of those. And walked down to the creek, and for a while we were the only ones there with Buttons the dog, and the creek was so cold that it's like, how is that even possible? I guess it's very active, right? It was so icy cold. It was like, I felt like it was dangerous to like go in it, you know? I just went into my knees, and Jocelyn, of course, she doesn't feel any pain because she's a child. She went right in there. Buttons is not, you know, he's not that dumb. He stays right out of that water. But it is just, it's a different world over there. It's funny how you go just such a short distance. I don't know about where you live, but I think it's such a gift to live in the kind of place where you can go just a little ways and you get a complete reset, a completely different life. Everything changes. It's such a nice opportunity. And April, great to see you. Hello in Illinois. Happy cocktail night, gallery night. Great artwork. Yeah, the thumbnail is fantastic. Julie's always doing interesting things. She's been contributing to Magpie Times too. I wonder if you noticed that. She did a very sculptural, heavy textile piece, I think, for this current issue that's out now. God, it's so beautiful. It was one of the things she brought to show me when we did the class in Madison together, the braiding class. And God, I thought it was just amazing. I was glad that she sent the photos in for Magpie. I love seeing things that are offbeat and incorporate more than one textile form, because I love my rug hooking. And as much as I say I love all kinds of rug making, I really love the hooking the most. We all feel differently. We all like different forms. But to me, there is something so magic about just sitting with that little tool that's about this big and being able to do something with, you know, just depending on my bag of colors and what I've got around me. But for example, today I was working on something and I recorded a long video for you. I'll show you. I'll tell you about that in a second. But it's just so nice to be able to sit there with very little in tow, you know, and to be able to make something that is like a tapestry right on your lap. Of course, punchers can do that too, and other forms of rug making can do that, and people who are holding needles can do that with stitching. It's just there's so many possibilities, and there's so many crossover possibilities. That's one of the things that I love about Gallery Night, because so many of you figure out ways to incorporate different forms of needle arts and rug arts into your pieces. And it's always creative, it's always interesting. It's never enough, you know, it's never enough, because even when you know, oh, you can put that with that, or you can do that like that, even when you know it, you do forget it, don't you? You forget, well, I forget it 5 seconds later. And then I need somebody to show me, put something else in front of my face that reminds me that that's a thing. And I go, oh, that's a thing. And then one of these days, maybe I use that technique for whatever my project is. But it's so nice to see what everyone figures out, right? That's the thing, isn't it? That's my favorite part. Karen, great to see you. Good evening from rainy, thank goodness, and cool Black Forest, Colorado. Oh, it sounds beautiful there. Kirsten, happy, glorious summer night, Friday night, and you are up in Vermont. I bet it's gorgeous there too. It is nice once the pain is over for the moment, and it seems like most places have cooled off a little bit, I hope. Although I was talking to Linda Ann, and she said in Canada, it's still such that she doesn't want to open the windows, but she wants the fresh air, but it smells smoky. It smells like a bonfire inside the house. And I thought, oh, wow, that's a lot, right? That's a lot, especially when it's really hot and you really want to open the windows. Oh, boy. Catherine, great to see you. Oh, great to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you for a while. Pouring rain in Southern California. Hope you needed it. And I hope it's cooling things down. The yin and the yang, right? The pouring rain and the beating sun. Maureen, great to see you. Happy summer Friday from beautiful Michigan. Oh, I bet it is so beautiful there. Great to see you. Welcome. Melissa, great to see you. Good evening to you too. Glad to be back together too. I missed you all on Friday. As I said on Monday, it was so frustrating because Rebecca was really excited to do a show. Rebecca Martin from Storyteller Wool. She's actually flying back right now. She just boarded the plane and back to Colorado. But we were really looking forward to doing a show together, and it was that day of the computer thing with outages and the planes just were grounded. And she got in what would have been the middle of the show. So, and it wasn't like it was like, okay, let's push it back half an hour and just hit the ground running. She was so stressed because she was traveling for so long. So I did write to her during the week, and I talked to her almost every night while she was at her McGowan workshop in Sturbridge, Mass, and said, do you want to try to do something during the week? I can drive back over. We could try to do something. But it was just, it's too much because she's busy all the time while she's there. It's just nonstop. So she took lots of pictures of the rug show at Sturbridge, and she was the one who put it on this year. She hung the whole show. She was in charge of the show. And I'm sure she got some help, but it was she who was in charge of the show, which was exciting, and I was proud of her. And so she took lots of pictures, and we're going to do a show together so that we can look at the show with her and go through it piece by piece. So we will do a show together, hopefully maybe next Friday if she's not doesn't have a conflict. But I thought that could be really fun for us, right? So I'm sorry that you missed her in person, but I will see her again when we both go up to Tigger at the end of September, early October. So that's a to be continued. Speaking of Canada, Dave and Melissa, both of you, great to see you, Dave. Hi everybody, barbecue chicken and corn. Oh, that sounds nice. Cold beer too. Cheers. I hope I have that cold beer in my hand soon. That sounds really, really refreshing. Happy Friday night. Ryan, happy Friday night. Happy Friday night from North Texas. Grilling burgers and rum cocktails, waiting to have the Olympics in the backyard. Have the Olympics in the backyard. Peace and love to you all. That sounds like a super, super night. Cindy, great to see you. Lovely evening in Minnesota. Oh, that sounds fantastic. Great to see you. And Kathy, great to see you. I've got your pieces in the show. Happy Friday from New Hampshire. Kathy, you have a conflict with the haunted rug date. That makes me so sad. I love to see you, but I'm sure I'll see you soon. We are not that far apart. Ryan, great to see you. I was just thinking about you and that enormous piece that you're doing. I wish I had a piece. I wish I had that in the show. Dang it. I should have gone on Facebook and grabbed it. Ryan, what's the name of that piece? It's like a bridal pair. And this, I'm not sure, this probably is not the largest piece you've done to date, but this looks enormous. And I saw people in the thread here and there writing, how did you transfer that and all that? And it's always nice to follow those conversations because so many new people come into the group all the time. And Ryan's always working on these enormous vintage patterns. And this is one of them. It has been just a sight to behold. It is what looks like a massive undertaking and very different than the ones that you've chosen before. So I'm so curious to see that evolve. It's going really well. It seems like you got into a great groove. Joy, great to see you. Happy Friday night to you. Happy gallery night. And Sandy, hello from Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. Great to see you, Sandy. Great to see you. I hope things are going good there. My buddy Ann, you are there. Thought I could join in but can't stay. Son in hospital. Hope everything's okay. Great to see you. Let me know what's going on. Barbara, great to see you. A day of sun and fun at Lake Huron Beach. That sounds amazing. You put suntan lotion on, right? Of course you did. Of course you did. I feel I have to say that to everybody now. I can't help myself. I'm sorry. I'm speaking from love, and it's awful having bits of you taken away, right, because of sun stuff. Boo! Thank you. I love the background too. This is Julie Hassler's background. So pretty. You can see, I'm going to talk about it later, but you can see it's like painted. What is that? What is on me? Okay, maybe it's a hair. Whew. Painted wool, and then she's just hooked intermittently, right? It's called Worms, this piece. This is coming like midway through the show tonight. But God, it's gorgeous, isn't it? It's just a great abstract piece, super high. Yes. Hurricane, cocktail style sour. There we go. The main thing is it's cold, and it's going to be tasty. It's cold. It's just what I need. Hear that sound? All right. Sorry. Oh no, the thing broke. The thing broke. I'm telling you, this is the kind of day it is. Damn thing broke. Yeah. Oh wait, let me see if I can pour it anyway. No. Can you do that? Sorry. In the little thingy. Oh, I hope that's not a sign. All right. Becky, great to see you. Happy Friday night. Glad that you're there too. Pam says Tommy is doing better too because of our age. I think it just hit us hard this time. Another week of quarantine and we'll be good to go. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm sorry it's taking a while. It is taking a while. Linda B, good to see you. You're usually the first one on. Great to see you. Hope things are good in New Jersey. Happy you're there. Oh, Catherine, you're in Colorado today, not California. Oh, you took a road trip. You do that trip often, don't you, driving back and forth? Not often, but occasionally. I feel like you've done that before. Lisa, great to see you. You are in Pennsylvania as well. Great to see you. Ryan Richard says, All I Want Is You is about the same size as, All I Want Is You. That's like the song? Is that like this? All I Want. How does that song go? That's the 80s song, isn't it? Oh, it's a Christmas song, isn't it? I'm sorry. I'm thinking All I Want for Christmas Is You. I am so sorry. Slap my face. What's wrong with me? It is the same size as the biggest you've done. Original. It's an original design. I didn't know that. I thought it was a commercial design. It is so good. No wonder people were asking you how you transferred it because they probably caught the beginning of it and I didn't. And you were doing it from scratch. Did you do it with a projector? I'm guessing you probably did. I'm curious now too because that's a big design. Diane, great to see you. Love gallery nights. Me too. So beautiful. This is just so beautiful. It's a great I didn't realize I just moved to the backing too. It's a great opportunity to do something abstract where you are really showcasing your colors, your worms, right? Talk about a great hit or miss opportunity. Cheers, my dears. Oh, yeah. Talk about a great opportunity to showcase your worms. Oh, it is a song. I feel like it is. I feel like it is. All I Want Is You. Okay, I'm going to have to play that when we're done. I wish you could sing it to me because I know it's right there. We talk about hit or miss all the time, and I just ran that hit or miss class, and I feel like ever since I ran that class, everything that I see relates to that. Even though we don't always do hit or miss, we do hit or miss techniques. And that includes like directional fills, whether you're doing your borders or you're just going around an element. The piece I'm going to show you the piece I'm working on just to start the night off while it's fresh in my memory. And I'll show you that even with that, I was really conscious of doing directional hooking, and I realized that I was doing like an echo pattern. We talked about this in the hit or miss class. And once you know you're doing it, it really ingrains and embeds, like it hardwires your hands to your brain, right? And it's good when that happens because then when I approach something else, I'm going to automatically be thinking, what kind of a fill do I want to do, right? And as I said in the class, it doesn't matter what kind of fill you choose when you're filling larger areas or backgrounds or borders or whatever. I think the thing that matters is that you do choose, because it's when you don't choose and you just do things kind of, I don't mean seat of the pants, I mean so quickly and without any thought that you can create bad situations, right? With your projects where you think, how did I get myself in this situation? Just a little bit of thought as you go is enough to prevent a lot of serious boo-boos and tear-outs, right? Barbara says, all I want is a miracle. All I want is you. All I want is a miracle. All I want is you. Oh, I can't get it. I can't get it. I think I know what you mean, Dave. Carly Simon. All I want is you. Something like that. I think I know Carly Simon's the best. I love Carly Simon so much. Oh, I love her so much. She, in my mind, is like one of the most beautiful women of all time. She has such exaggerated features. She is so lithe and tall and tan and gorgeous all the time, isn't she? Gosh. Barry Lewis Poliser. Barry Lewis Poliser. All right, I'm going to have to look that up. Let me take a picture of that really fast. I want to be on the same page with you all. You all know what you're talking about, and I am doodling around. Now, all right. Yeah, let me look that up later because otherwise it's going to come to me at 3:14 at night and I'm going to go, oh, I do know the song, but it's not a good time. So great to see you all. Welcome to Friday Night Cocktail Night, Gallery Night. And tonight we are going to, if you're new and you're joining us new, we look at other people's work tonight and our own. We look at each other's work and we talk about the great merit that is in every piece. When you send stuff in for gallery night, I never slam this stuff or critique this stuff. Even when people say, can you give me some ideas and critique critiquing is something I just don't do. There isn't a single rug piece that I have ever seen that has no merit. Everything has merit. It's just a question of looking at stuff and seeing what goes really well together, what's working really well together, um, and how you can fix things that aren't working really well together. And even that's subjective. You're the only one who can decide if the piece you're working on is not working. It's not for us to decide. It's never for us to decide. I saw this thread last night right before bed. It really made me angry. It was I really need to just check out. I don't go on my phone a ton, and that's why I'm not really as up to date with our Facebook group as I'd like to be, because I've been busy with the Halloween book and orders and everything else, and I've been priding myself being super busy and still getting orders out, all of them within like a week, right? Sometimes a week and a half, but it's a lot. And I've been doing really well. So I've been busier than a hornet lately, which is a great thing. I'm not complaining. Thank you for the business. Um, but I do tend to look at my phone at inopportune times and get wound up. So this guy had, I can't even remember what his page was, but I wouldn't say it anyway. But it was like a page that was obviously devoted to painting. And he said, he showed a picture of, not a Pollock photography, a Rothko. He showed a picture of a Rothko. And he wrote something like, this is what I hate about art. This is what people hate about art. People can do this, and then everyone says, my son could do better than that. My infant can do better than that, and this is the kind of art that I hate. And I'm thinking, you're running an art Facebook group. You should know a little bit more about art than to blast off like that. And it was like the post happened late, maybe different time zone, but I read it at about 2:45. Yes, I was awake, because unfortunately everybody in this house is a night owl, right? Of all the things that are hereditary, unfortunately it's not hereditary to inherit my love of waking up at sunrise, going in and dozing off right about when the sun hits dusk. That's not inherited. So we were up super late, and I saw this post and I thought, wait a minute, who is anybody to say that art is less or stupid? A lot of people, oh, that's so stupid, right? Shooting their mouths off. And I mean, I wrote something, I'm sure, that was not very helpful, and definitely a little high energy. Something like, abstract art is about how it makes you feel. And Rothko is a very well-known artist. So obviously a lot of people feel a lot about those pieces. And because the whole point was like, oh, this sold for this many $1 million. Isn't this stupid? And it was like, well, if a lot of people like that piece of art, same thing in the rug world, then there's competition for it, and then the price goes up, right? The fact that there is competition means it makes a lot of people feel a certain way. So begs the question, is it stupid? Well, it's not stupid to everyone, right? This is the universal conversation that we need to have in all social media right now. Something that seems stupid or common sense to you might not to me, right? We have different opinions. Thank God for that. But it was such a wind-up post, and I thought, man, that person should not be talking about art. They just don't get it, They just don't get it. You can't kind of crap on a whole school of art because you don't like it. Other people do, and that's why the prices are so high. For us in the rug world, not so much. The prices aren't that high. Someone else wrote, who is from, I think, Eastern Europe, and said, how much do rugs sell for there? Because I've been making rugs and I could use the money. And I wrote back, honestly, not that much, right? There's not a huge market for contemporary rugs right now. There are exceptions, and there are a lot of rug artists who are well ensconced in the gallery scene. I'm not one of them. I'm here with you. I'm in the teaching scene and book writing scene and history angle. But there are a lot of people who are in the gallery scene, and thank God for that too, right? We're all in different places representing what we do best. But even so, there's not a huge market for hooked rugs right now. Well, I think we're going to change that as time goes on, don't you? The way that our group is changing on Facebook, and even the YouTube channel is getting larger. I think people are finding us. I was having this conversation, I'm going to tread very carefully here. I was having this conversation with Rebecca this week because she's got 2 certifications. She's one of my best friends. I love her, respect everything that she does and everything that she is and all of her decisions. But I said, I think the thing about rug hooking at this moment is that, like it or not, right, Like it or not, it's a very small craft, and the new people who are coming to the craft are coming through the internet with very few exceptions, right? There are new buddies at guilds, and they find their way, but the big numbers are coming from the internet. That means people are finding it online through new avenues. Whether you like those avenues or you can navigate them yourself, it doesn't matter. I can't. I just learned last night that a Word document is not the same as a PDF. I still don't understand how that can be possible, but apparently it's not. And while I was trying to put out the advertisement for the Halloween book, I needed help from my children to sort me out because nothing was working and everything was stupid. So whether we like the way that the world is or not, it is absolutely a fact that if we're going to stay alive as a craft and we're going to pass this on to future generations, and when we, God forbid, die so long from now, right? So long from now, I really hope, I hope that I feel at that moment that it has taken off and that it is safe and that it will continue and that my legacy, your legacy, everything that we work on is safe. But if that's the case, it's going to be because people find us on the internet, and they will also learn how to rug hook on the internet. They will learn from videos like my videos, everybody who puts out content that is not behind paywalls, their videos. It's just the way that it is right now. So I think it's important to acknowledge that, and to kind of get behind each other. All of the different places that we're coming from, we're meeting at this weird sort of rotary or roundabout, right? Clearing. And we're all coming from different places, different angles, different ages, different backgrounds. Oh, I learned because my great grandmother was a hooker. I learned because I watch YouTube, right? And we're all meeting at the same place. And how we get there shouldn't define us and shouldn't separate us. It should just be a question of, here we are at the same place at the same time. Isn't this great? Look how many of us there are. I'm so excited about everything that we're working on. That's what Gallery Night's about. That's what all of our projects are about. Um, oh no, Ryan says, I could make an awful rug. I don't believe that that's true at all. You can say that. You can say that. I will allow that. But I don't agree with that at all. I haven't seen anything awful you've ever done. Judy says, is that ground fabric on the piece behind you felted? No, I don't think so, Judy. I think it's just plain wool. So this would be for us like the wool that we cut up to do the rug hooking. Judy's a needle arts person. Thistle Needleworks on Silestine Highway I always give you a plug, don't I? I love your shop, in Weathersfield, Connecticut. We use milled wool, which is like, it's not felted, it's not super thick. But I think she's just using plain wool, and it looks like she's kind of brushed at it with paint brushes, possibly those spongy things, the black foam spongy things, the dauber things. You could kind of drag. I did a dyeing video that included using those pens that have the reservoir that you could actually put dye in. Some of them are super fine point, super fine, like a fine paintbrush. Others are quite wide. Others are flat and wide. You could paint up a background like this quite easily, and then it would just become a question of, what do I want to hook onto it? It looks like she's hooked. Oh, it looks like yarn. Oh, I'm wondering if that is wool. I'm gonna have to maybe look at that closer up. It looks a bit sparkly. It could be the door sparkle wool, or it could be yarn. It looks very wide. The loops look more rectangular. We'll find out when we get to her thing. But Judy, I think that's just plain milled wool. You couldn't, I think this is hooked, so you couldn't hook into felt, unless possibly, and I still don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so, because felt, I think felt would be too hard to get through. If I'm wrong, let me know. I know you can hook with felt, whether it's the synthetic or wool. I don't think you could get through it. I think you could punch through it, but I don't think you could hook through it. I might be wrong, and if I'm wrong, let me know. I love to find new stuff out. Judy Phillips says, also the importance of a piece of art is not necessarily tied to whether you would hang it up over your couch. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes it's just pushing the envelope, like with comedy, right? Like comedians. Comedians have to be able to do what they do. Otherwise, comedy doesn't move forward as an art form, right? Whether you like it or not, right? Whether you think it ended at Bill Cosby or Richard Pryor, doesn't matter. Other people have a different point of view, right? It moves on. Same thing with art. And you can't relate. The thing is, I think people relate everything to themselves. That is the main problem of today, in my mind, is people can't look at something or hear something that they don't agree with and not layer themselves onto the conversation or relate it to themselves. I don't think we're like that. We're sitting here and we're about to talk about rug hooking on a Friday night. But I think that is a huge problem, that people just cannot get out of themselves. Too many people are self-centered, self-motivated, selfish, and just can't think outside those lines. It's good or bad. The gospel according to oneself. That's a scary place to be, right? Because you don't learn anything new. You don't evolve. You don't give anything a second chance when you are mired in the place of the gospel according to me. That's really a scary place to be. Gallery artists are all mostly male. No, Judy, actually, I can't think of anybody but Pierre Sylvain who has done a rug show recently who's a man. It's mostly women. Still mostly a woman's craft. I'm sure there are exceptions. I'm just talking about the shows that I'm thinking of people like, what's her name? Laura Kenny. In Canada does a lot of gallery stuff. Melissa does a lot of gallery stuff. You just had a gallery thing this past year. Yeah, no, I think in general, anything hooked rug is still mostly women. And that's another stereotype I think we need to overcome, right? We need to get more men into the center of this craft too, because this is going to be a sexist remark, but they often work differently, right? Both Ryans are punchers, which is still rug making. But we need to see a 50-50 break at some point. I think if they're, okay, this is very bad. I'm going to say something very bad. I think if there were more men involved in the craft of rug making in general, that it would be more visible. You can disagree with me if you want. I'm just saying it is still a man's world, man. I feel that all the time. Judy says, anyway, I love the smooth texture. Yep, me too. And the soft shading. Yep, painted right on. I think she's painted it right on. It is just a masterful, it's a smart piece, and it's a great idea. Because if you think about it, you can paint right on. You could paint something quite literal. You could do text, right? You could write text behind it. You could cut up potatoes and stamp a repeat pattern or do a repeat stencil pattern behind it. Of course, wool, if it's very wet, everything bleeds, so you would want the wool to be quite dry. If you were going to fool around with a background fill, that you did not want to have this watercolor feel to it. If you wanted something that, for example, was a series of silhouettes, crisp silhouettes, you would not want to start with wet wool, right? Just because you're introducing dye, you tend to think wet. You really couldn't. You'd have to do dry, or even use paint, or use something with a thicker viscosity, like an acrylic over a watercolor, just to get a lot of detail. But you could also do that and then be hooking or punching around, because you can hook and punch, obviously, directly into wool that we use for rug hooking. Wool for rug hooking is very expensive, but think about it. If you use it this way, because when we use it for rug hooking, you need 4 to 5 times more than the area that you need to fill. Well, when you're using it flat like this and you're looking at the backing flat, you're using a lot less, aren't you? It's really an interesting and clever angle. Oh, Olivia, great to see you. You fell asleep. Well, I'm not surprised. COVID has hit your body. Oh no, you too. And you are in Ireland. You are tired, my love. Well, you might as well sit up and be entertained now that you are awake. And I know when your body crashes, you'll go back to sleep and be healthy. Melanie says Joe Moore did. Of course, Joe Moore, the flower guy, right? Joe Moore, the flower guy. Yep. Yeah, he does a lot of shows in Canada. He is great. Yeah, he is in the gallery circuit for sure. These are like parallel lines that run. The people who do gallery stuff and the people who do teaching, and one is not better than the other, obviously. It's just we are part of different worlds that occasionally cross over, right? Our orbits cross, because we're all doing the same craft, but we're doing it in a different way. We can't all be involved in the gallery part of it. And there's people like me, I would never be able to sell my stuff. Like, I could maybe give it away, but I don't think I could sell. I just don't think I could. Nothing wrong with it. It's just, I'm crazy in a very specific way. Pam says, oh, so sorry to hear that, Olivia. Oh, dear, I know. Ryan says, Rug Crafters was started by a man. So Rug Crafters, Ryan, that's the brand that you often use, the vintage rug patterns that you make that are huge, like 5 foot, 6 foot across, right? I don't mean like 40 inches. I mean like 6 feet. Huge, huge backings. And yes, that was started with a man. And the interesting thing about this conversation about sex in rug making, not that way, obviously, is that the further back you go, the more men are involved. So in other words, if you go you rewind in the time machine, the Doctor Who, right, get into the TARDIS thing and just change time, go back to a time before rug hooking, then we're talking about milled rugs. And it is always men who are designing and usually making rugs in mill settings, oriental rugs, rugs that are made in the Far East, right? That's men. And then you come up to sort of the late Victorian period when rug hooking is at its dawn, right? Not necessarily the golden age, but the dawn. And there's a lot of men in the mix, right? There's a lot of men writing about it. There's a lot of men copying designs. There are also men working at it, Grenfell, Burnham, Kent, right? There's a lot of men who are involved in the craft of specifically rug hooking. So the further back you go, it's very male heavy. And for some reason, and I don't have the chronology on this at all, but it seems to me like as soon as you get into the 20th century and we start talking about Pearl McGowan starting up in the 1920s, really hitting her stride in the 1940s, certifications, not just McGowan certifications, but lots of other teachers certifying, then we're talking about women with women. And then it's like the breeding starts. Like it's women, teaching more women, and what man is going, not very many, right? According to the pictures in Life magazine, at that time, not many men coming to hook-ins because they typically occurred in the middle of the day when women are teaching each other and men are traditionally at work. So the further along we go, the less men we see doing the craft. I think the thing that has brought men back to looking at rug making as a craft is the internet. So as much as I'm not a fan of technology, right? Word versus PDF, downloading stupid stuff on my phone that epic fails today, incredible frustration. I'm not a fan of it, but I can see that technology has helped this craft get back to a place where people sort of know what you're talking about. And as time goes on, I think there are more and more men coming to the craft, and that's just what we need. We need a good balance. We need representation, right? Everybody to be represented within the craft. Sue's, good to see you. Dawn, good to see you. Sue says, hello in Canvas, I'm back. When may we order your Halloween book? It is there. It is in Ribbon Candy Hooking. So you'll see it's one of the main things on the carousel at the beginning page. I figured out with Shannon there are more than 100 patterns in this Halloween book. So if you are coming new, we are going to start gallery night imminently, I promise. Let's get some news done. I'm working like a dog. I'm working like busy as a dog with fleas, getting this book together. And I'm right at the end of sending patterns out and a reasonable window for sending patterns to people, assuming that I can get a photo back in return and get them into the book, because I need to lay the book out too, and I need to do a bunch of my own patterns. So I'm at a very good place with that. I'm really surprised because I am like a full-blown disaster when it comes to getting things done on time and not waiting until the last minute. There are now over 100 patterns in this book, and again, I did not set out to do an epic book like an anthology, but what I have to say is the reason I think this project is so large is it's called The Haunted Rug, and it is on the Ribbon Candy Hooking website. So if you go to ribboncandyhooking.com, you'll see one of the first things in the carousel. It's all the main products that are new right now. One of them is the Haunted Rug. I'm not using the cover that's there, but it's there as a placeholder, and that pattern will be in the book with a lot of other patterns. It's not just my patterns, it's by far mostly my patterns, but patterns by a lot of other people who you will recognize, like Jessica Troyer, like Kirsten, Melissa. There's lots of people who are contributing to this book. Lots of people, lots of different makers. And I think what happened was that in a craft where autumn/Halloween, that is the biggest selling season, we have not had a book that is like a comprehensive all Halloween book yet. And it is a craft for at least as far as the other people who own rug cooking businesses who I talk to say Halloween is the biggest selling holiday. So why haven't we had a Halloween book yet? So now that the word is out there and people who are loving Halloween, loving autumn in general, saying, I would like to do something for it, it's long overdue. I think that's what's happened. It's long overdue. And I don't want to do an annual Halloween book because I want to work on a lot of books. Maybe in a few years we'll do another one. But I want to get everybody who wants to work on it right now. I've tried to accommodate everybody who said, this is really important to me. I really want to do it. I love the holiday. Let's try to find a fit, a pattern that I can do. And I feel like in general, this has been an incredibly successful project, matching people to projects. It's going to be the most adorable, very extra large, supersized book. So many patterns to do, mostly Halloween, but also just straight up autumn. Um, lots of different makers, lots of different designers, and also storytelling from different people. Oh, I've asked people who are contributing, you know, do you have pictures of yourself in your Halloween costume? Because I know I have myself as Mae West. As long as I can find that and scan that on the computer, I'm going to need my kids to help with that. That'll go in there. I mean, I have some crazy Halloween costumes. Mom, it's going to be all I can do to not put Jessica as the fur beast in her costume into the book. She will never forgive me. But yeah, people hopefully sending in. I've already got some pictures of you in your Halloween costume when you were younger, your kids, your grandkids, your pets. Pictures out your door, vignettes you set up in your yard with pumpkins and the season just the way you like it. If you're working on a rug, I've said please contribute a photo or a paragraph about why you wanted to work on the book, why you chose that pattern, what it was like hooking it, your memories from Halloween, whatever you want. Right? It's not scripted. It's whatever you want. So it's going to be a great book for texture and atmosphere and lore, right? And there's going to be some vintage poems in there and some sort of activities and fun things in there too. It is an epically big book. Kirsten says, one of my patterns will be in the Halloween book. We'll have two versions. Both are fabulous and wonderful. They really are. Spoiler alert, I've seen them. I won't share them, but I've seen them. Amazing. Um, Judy says, do you ever send the same pattern to do different people and let them do their own thing? Always interesting to see. Yeah, a lot, Judy, a lot. So the whole sort of project that Jeannie Coates was working on for most of this year, it ended, I think, at the end of June, was the Gee's Bend, the quilter, inspired by the Gee's Bend Quilters project. And it was the same pattern that went to, I think again, it was like 100 people, maybe more, and everybody did it differently. So that happens a lot by accident, but we often make it happen too, so that we can see the difference between what one person's choice to another person's choice. So we do that a lot. In the Halloween book, there I'm sure will be some doubles, but as far as the chapters go, if you took a chapter, a chapter is one pattern, it is yours. So I'm trying not to double up with stuff like that, because I want each person to feel, if you spend time doing one of these patterns, your piece is special, and in this book, unique. So that is coming out very soon. That'll be just the ultimate example of variety and a very large group project going into print. Dave Lake says, Elton John Halloween costume. I'm 6. Will said, Dave, you've got to send that. You've got to send that. That's so funny. He's an easy person to dress up as, right? He's so distinctive. Yeah, so the pre-orders are there. They'll come out at the beginning of October, or maybe a little bit earlier, and the book party is coming out on October 20th. I just sent all that information out to some of the guilds and stuff, so the sign-up has been more this weekend. There is still tons of room. Gayla, good to see you. Kathy, good to see you. I think for every commercial pattern that's purchased, it's done differently. Yeah, I think so too. You're responding to Judy, I know. Yeah, so big event, all coming together, lots of fun, lots of techniques, lots of different styles and people represented, just how I like it. And the main takeaway for me with this book project is that this is my 3rd book, but this is the only one I'm publishing myself, right? And from now on, I'm going to publish, I think, everything myself, because I've done big publisher, small publisher. I like this way the most because I have the most control over it. I'm not a control freak, but I know what I want it to look at, and I don't want your piece getting cut from it. And that's what happens when other people are in, there's cooks in the kitchen. So I like doing this, and I will put together, I keep saying it, but I am almost ready to put together our writers group. I know a lot of people have ideas for books, and if you want Ribbon Candy Hooking to be publishing your book, we can start meeting in a writers group, and I can help walk you through it, or you can go to another publisher, of course. But I do want to start putting out more rug hooking books, several a year, so that there's just more to look at, more to be inspired by. And as far as the books that I author or compile, more people. I want a lot of cooks in the kitchen when it comes to filling in patterns. I want you to get your work into books if that's what you like to do and it makes you feel confident, encouraged. It's just a great feeling seeing your work in print. I want to do as much as that as possible, and my goal is to do 2 books a year. So the Halloween book is a great prototype that for me has absolutely confirmed that if we put out a book project in our group, people will come. If you build it, people will come. And then we have a book that's ready to go a few months later. Now, isn't that ideal for all of us? If we're not helping turn this craft into something that's visible and elevate it on the craft stage, right, alongside all of the other more famous crafts, then I don't know. I'm sure that we are, in other words. Catching up on your comments. All right, so I'm going to show you what I'm working on. I'm showing bits and pieces of what I'm working on for myself for the book. And I posted it in the Facebook group, the spider rug, right? It's a book of a woman who's it's very folky. She's kind of leaned over this big orange rug that's draped over her lap. She's not working on a frame. It's like a Claire Murray style, draped right over. And she's hooking all these giant spiders, and there's spiders matching on the wallpaper behind. I think I'm going to possibly use that for the cover design, because if you noticed, I left some blank areas where I could put like the haunted rug and all of that. So you might have seen that if you're in our Facebook group, which is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club. But I started another one today because I finished one in between. I know, crazy, right? I finished one in between that's called Exotic Powders. It's like a Salem setting, like Salem, Mass setting. Very, very cool cobblestone streets, kind of primitive, but a bit magical. I finished that this morning, and I got going on the pattern I showed you before that's called Hat Head. And I wanted to, if you remember, hook that mostly with bat, right? Not wool roving, but bat, right? Which comes like cotton candy and unfolds like a sheet. And it's rolled up in the packaging. It's always super cheap. You can get a giant piece of bat for like $2, $4, $6 at these fiber festivals that are coming up. So I recorded a video this morning before I started doing the bat. The only part of the composition I wanted to not be this soft, fluffy bat, very tactile and different, was the face, that I wanted to be quite well articulated. So let me show you how this is coming along, and I won't show you the rest until the book comes out, but here, come over here with me, and oh, wait a minute, let me hold on, I'm doing something technical, stay with me. I'm supposed to have, I've got my, the order of the page wrong. Got it. No, I don't. Forget it. So, oh, wait a minute, that's not right. Hang on. I'm sorry, Andrea, you are on deck. I thought I dragged mine down there. Okay, here she is. So this is going to be Hat Head, and I did a video today of, her skin tone is green, right? It's like putrid green. So I did a video of this today. It doesn't look as good in this photo as it does in person, I think. But it's very graphic handling of a face, because a lot of people are always writing and saying, you know, can you show how to hook faces? Well, I'm not a realistic hooker, and I'm not good that way. And I don't like hooking that way. I like hooking in a more graphic style. So I did about a 1 hour video. I'm speeding up some parts because this took about an hour to do the face. So this video should come out. Unfortunately, the video was so large, it like seized my phone up, and then I couldn't even take a photo for this without emptying a bunch of stuff, and then I got locked out of every single thing on my phone. Have you ever had one of those? So I hope to have it up later tonight, but I do have to edit it a bit. It's literally beginning to the end, hooking in the structure of the face and then some of the skin tones, and it is it's my style, right? It's not like the end all do all, but it is my style, and I like to hook this way. And if you like to hook this way, I hope that this video helps you walk right into it, because it's not rocket science, right? It's me doing this. I am not a certified teacher. I am not into realism. It's not my bag. So I always hook in this style, and I quite like it. Her eyes are different and asymmetrical. That's part of the pattern design. She's fun. I can't wait to finish her. So this is what I've been working on. And hopefully you will have a video later tonight or first thing in the morning, so you can look at it. And another great face right here, Andrea. And see if there's anything in that video that can help you with doing faces if you also like to work in a more graphic style, right? So, Andrea, speaking of great faces, now I'm going to read what you sent, but I just want to remind you all that for the second issue of Magpie Times that came out recently, and the theme is Midsummer Magic, Andrea did a great article and pattern. Thank you for contributing this stunning free pattern to Magpie of the Green Man. Now, Andrea is in the UK, and the Green Man is certainly more of a thing in the UK. Let me read what Andrea wrote first. So you sent in the pattern, and you were still working on it because the timeline for Magpie Times, it being a quarterly, is really fast, right? And you were still working on it, and you finished it right around the time the magazine came out. So I shared this photo on Magpie Times, our Facebook page, also Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club, also our Facebook page. And I want to share it here for those of you who are not on Facebook because it's a great rendering, finished rendering of the pattern that was in the current Magpie Times and is so lovely. Andrea Dimmick, you wrote, I finally got my head around finishing the Green Man. This is 17 by 19 on monk's cloth, 100% wool yarn, cotton yarn. I started by outlining all the leaves in dark green. The problem soon became clear. Once I'd got some of the background in, those darn leaves just blended in. So you guessed it, I had to pull them out. Oh man, I see what you're saying. Not only the leaves, but some of the background too. Talk about frustrating. I feel you. Oh honey, I feel you. Yeah, this happens to all of us. It's even when you've color planned and you've got all your colors in front of you, it can happen, right? It can happen. So frustrating. I wanted him to look like he was emerging from a forest. I decided to outline in black. Thought doing so tends to look a bit like a cartoon, but this at least made him pop out from his hiding place. I also had to fix the wonky mouth simply by taking out the outline and rehooking, just like you would do when hooking or punching words. Exactly. You put in the placeholder, you take it out, you go for it again, right? It's all ready for you at that point. Now I'm happy with him. And John is making another rustic frame. Oh, I just love John's frames. And Andrea, you are working on your carousel rug that, and in the article that will be in the upcoming Magpie Times for the Country Fair issue. It's so great having content from not North America, right? This is really different. And for those of you that aren't super familiar with the folklore of British Isles folklore, the Green Man is a wonderful symbol for an abstract idea, right? This is like an old, like anciently old premise idea that the Green Man, right, we're talking in terms of metaphor, goes to sleep like under the pile of leaves in the winter, right, in the cold, bleak winter season. Everything seems dead, everything seems gone and lost. And then as soon as spring comes, right, little things start to bud, and you're so surprised at the little bits of green and the fact that things are alive from under the snow, right? And here comes the Green Man. His face appears in an old pile of leaves. He is still alive in the earth, of the earth, and he is ready for a renaissance. And it is a seasonal reference. It is a beautiful piece of storytelling. It is an old piece of folklore. The Green Man is a well-known character in British tradition. We know less about the Green Man here in the U.S., so it is great that you put this in front of us because he's a great image for a great idea, and it was fantastic that he came out during this issue. So very happy to see this done. Absolutely beautiful. I'm sorry for your struggle. I totally get it, and I get that, you know, you're working with like a brown and green palette because having, you know, the story of the Green Man, having him be of the forest, he has to be forest colors, right? You're not going to switch him to neon purple and expect him to read as the Green Man. So you're working with a limited color palette, and it must have been super, super difficult. But hurrah, and kudos to you for working through the incredible frustration of tearing stuff out. And, you know, we all get to that point where we're hooking, and then you realize that there's a problem. And do all of you kind of do the thing where instead of acknowledging that there is a fatal problem, you go a little bit further and you think maybe it resolves itself. I do this every time. I go way further than I should. I don't go a little bit further. I go to the point where I am not just frustrated, I am irate. I have a mental problem. I go so far because I think I can fix this. It's ego. Like, I can fix this. And I often can't, right? And it's the same exact kind of scenario that you just described with the forest colors and the browns and the greens. Same exact thing. Lena, so nice to hear folklore from around the world. I love this face too. So, you know, in the end, you figured it out, Andrea. You figured out the greens, the browns, how to make it work. You did a classic thing that we do in primitive rug hooking, and that is to split the leaf in half. This is something else we talked about in the hit or miss class. It is a great device to split the leaf right in half, color-wise. It creates a uniformity, And it's very easy to read the leaves, right? So and you're able to inject them with more color, right? You've got extra colors in there because you've got the vein and then the two colors for each side of the leaf. You get more color in there, just creates more energy, more interest. It's more engaging to look at. But I can see that this could have been a hard project. It's not a super simple design, and I know you've done really different and difficult designs. I'm thinking about the minstrels playing. This is so beautiful. You did a great job. I'm sorry it was frustrating, but I'm glad you persevered. And I can't wait to see the carousel that you're working on next. Speaking of the hit or miss class, Kaz, you were in the hit or miss class. I love you. I love everything that you do. I love to see the finished product. You work very, very fast. So Kaz wrote, hi Deanna, I just finished steaming my Mizzy Mazzy piece. The title of this piece was Mizzy Mazzy, and that is like a British term for hit or miss, right? So just a British term for more than hit or miss, because Mizzy Mazzy can also refer to like a marble cake fill in the background. It is exactly what it sounds like, right? It's kind of like, there really isn't an American equivalent phrase, like higgledy-piggledy is the closest I can think of. But this piece is called Mizzy Mazzy. You said the class last week was so fun and informative. I ended up putting the noodles in plastic bags according to colors. Okay, so you really divided up, because that was a big noodle bag that the class came with. I think that was like 8 ounces of noodles. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it was an enormous bag of noodles. And you color coded them, which is not a bad call, because then you know what you're working with. It's a good use of time. You said I did controlled hit or miss. I experimented with stitches such as basket weaves. Oh, I can see that in the flower pot right in the middle, the vase part of the heart flower. Basket weave chain stitches and shearing slash hoving. The marble cake was the most difficult part. The marble cake is on the bottom left. Was the most difficult part because there was no distinct pattern to follow. I learned so much just during that 2-hour class. Thank you so much. Well, you are so welcome. I always love being with you, having you, spending time with you, coming to your house, everything that we do together. Marble cake is the one on the bottom left. It is a harder one because it doesn't have a set formula. So it's not like echo. You aren't echoing the shape of something. You aren't going around the edges, and you've got the edges as a guide. You are just on your own with marble cake. For some people, it's very liberating because it's like you can't make a wrong move. For other people, it's like staring at a blank canvas and having paralysis because it's just too many choices. Marble cake is, I think, the toughest. And then if you go clockwise, the top left is clamshell or lamb's tongue pattern, or sometimes it's called seashell. And right was a log cabin fill. That was our only real geometric fill. And bottom right was cat's paw, which could be done in a lot of different ways. And in the background, very small bit, but the fifth fill is the echo that's behind the flower. That was all done in blacks. Kaz, this is so beautiful. You just killed it. And the split flower with the vein in the center, right? The leaves are a little bit darker on one side than the other. It really is a gorgeous piece. You do so many classes. You learn so much. You're an encyclopedia of techniques. You put lots of those great techniques into this project, and it functions as a sampler to look at, which is so great. It was designed to be a hit or miss sampler, and you leveled up and took it one step further. You heard that video game reference, man, am I brainwashed. You took it one step further and made it into not just a hit or miss sampler, but also a sampler of stitches, right? So just another layer of interest and just a beautiful piece. We were talking about in a past episode flower pounding. So you wrote fun pounding flowers and leaves on a mordanted cotton fabric. So that mordant, right, like pre-treated cotton fabric. This method is called tataki zoni in Japanese. We were talking about this in one of our coffee times because I mentioned that I'm seeing at a lot of the historical societies that are close to me a lot of classes in flower pounding, and it's just what it sounds like, right? You're pounding the flowers. There's books on this too, and so these are the flowers, Kaz, that you were about to pound. I'm guessing you were doing a class, so you have got your background mordanted, and I can see that there's a splash of color, right? So this is going to be just gorgeous. Little splash of color, and after you pound them, whoa, right? They look like fossils. You really preserve the shape, the color, the dimensions of the flower. It is super whimsical. It is really something different. We don't talk about this craft enough. It is like pressing flowers, but you get this great souvenir. The takeaway is this lovely textile that you could use for any manner of things. I think the most obvious use would be for like pillowcases or to work into a quilt, like a piece to work into a quilt. I'm thinking to myself, as I have been thinking to myself, I bet that if you flower pounded onto backing, just like Judy was just asking about the backing in the thumbnail by Julie Haskell, just plain wool, whether it was plain white wool, right, just white, or like a lightly colored, delicately colored, it doesn't have to be delicately colored, depends on how dark you want your background. But even if it was a colored wool, I don't think you'd want a mottled or a painted wool, because I think it'd be too confusing to look at. But what if you, right, this is going to be like a interactive segment, what if you pounded onto wool? What could you then do with those pieces for rug making, or I even hate to say rug, but for making a hooked or punched piece? Could you incorporate pounded flower images, particularly if it's on wool? Cotton's okay, good, is also okay, right? You can pound on anything. I'm just thinking, would it ever be possible to pound onto wool and to use those pieces as kind of applique? Because certainly, particularly the black flower in the center, the two yellow flowers, all of them are lovely. But the yellow flower on top really is crazy. It looks like a pansy. I wonder if you would be able to use kind of a wool applique technique. And Cass says, I have seen people do this on wool fabric. There we go. I think it'd be a great thing to try. Andrea says, not heard of this technique. I've got pages of dried flowers from last year. Not sure what to do with them. It might be interesting to think, could you do a piece, and I'm just brainstorming here, but could you do a piece where you pound it onto wool or cotton and then you applique, how we use Prodi, things like Prodi or Waldoboro, just kind of localized here and there within a composition. It's not the whole surface of the composition, just techniques within the composition. Couldn't you also do that with flower pounding? Because unlike woolly flower that you've sewn, like an applique flower, something like this actually has a souvenir quality. You picked it in your garden, you picked it on vacation. There's a storytelling facet to flowers that you've picked. Could you incorporate flowers like this into a bouquet and combine it with rug hooking or punch or even just applique or stitching? I think it's a great thing to think of. I think it's just another thing in your bag of tricks. Barbara says flower pounded wool may hook like silk tie transferred wool. Absolutely. I think flower pounded wool would hook beautifully. And I think you would lose, if you cut it into strips, you're going to lose the complete flower as a motif, but you are going to gain incredible color changes. And same thing, then that even if you've cut it into strips, that you are hooking with the flowers from this year's garden, and now it's winter, and doesn't it feel good to connect with your flower garden again, right? All of this special storytelling that you layer onto your piece, just another technique to think about. Kaz, thank you so much for sending these. I really appreciate the examples. I think this is so interesting. I'm for myself certainly not done thinking about flower pounding. Pam, you finished her. This is such a gorgeous piece. Pam writes, just wanted to add 3 pieces I recently designed and finished. Looking forward to another fun gallery night soon. Can't wait to see everybody's work. Number 1, we saw her in progress. Henna stepping out. 24 by 26 inches, number 6 wool cut strips. Now, let's look at this. This is another masterpiece. Pam, this is so pretty. I'm going to stretch her a little bit so we can look at her in more detail. So I'm about to take you all for a ride. Get ready. Some movement happening. You are such a tidy and painterly hooker, right? Is it possible to be both? Well, not for me, but for you it is possible to be both. So henna is her little body is beautifully done. She's very solid. You did your classic technique of getting lots of color into her body, but also lots of light. There is something that you do with capturing light that I just don't understand. To me, it's alchemy and magic. I just don't know how you do it. I'm very happy that you do, because I can look at it and just go, wow. So beautifully done. It has a magical quality to it. her body is just beautiful. I see all kinds of colors there. It is just like when you are looking at a bird and the feathers are a little bit, well, luminescent, but also like looks like a little bit like an oil slick, like the, holographic. That's what I mean. Color changes. It's very, very hard to capture that. Pam, you're very good at these kinds of tall orders, right? Very, very good. You're getting some nice comments. Pam, are you a painter? Yes, she is, Lena. She is a painter. She's an excellent painter. That's where I think a lot of these ideas are coming from. It's already in you. You do such a good job with this, and you do always bring in, or you have lately brought in, iridescent. Thank you, Judy. That's just what I meant. Not holographic, iridescent. Thank you. It does show. Pam, you bring in other elements that are classic rug making elements like Prati. So you have done these Prati sunflowers with the Prati leaves. I'm going to take you for a ride again, just in case you're sensitive to this. Um, and it really is the perfect use for it. You don't, as a painter, feel that you have to ground the flowers by creating a garden and a literal setting for henna. You've just got a few of them on the side, and those yellow flowers, very Van Gogh color palette against the blue, looks fantastic, right? They are there as the most stunning complement to henna. And this marble cake fill that is very irregular, you've created almost a cameo cutout where henna is. And around the edges, very intermittent, you have done a fill that is like a marble cake fill, right? So it's very nondescript, it's very elusive. But it has a cloud quality because of the white background and the blues that you chose. It has a cloud and sky quality, but it is definitely a fill, right? The clouds have never parted that way for anybody. It is just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. I love the variety of whites also. I love the red, right? The red, the little orange beak. You're very careful with color placement. The red really stands out, but it's not overpowering. And then you trickle a little bit of the reds into the body as well. It's very exciting. The shape of the body is very exciting to me too. We see a lot of stylized, farmyard birds like from the side, and we see that, and I do this myself, that classic primitive silhouette of a bird. I don't know the parts, the comb, the gobbler. I never remember what that thing is called. But when you see the birds from the side, it's beautiful, it's recognizable, it's a very familiar historic motif that we embrace as rug hookers. But it's very unusual to see a bird from the front. And the fact that you would choose to do henna from the front and you would still be able to make her so immediately readable just shows the level of extraordinary that you are. It really is an epic piece. It is just gorgeous. Kathy says, so beautiful. We have a chicken, a barred rock, that looks just like your piece. Is that, I'm going to say a barred rock. Could that be rock, or I'm going to talk right, not out of context? I wonder if that was like a typo thing. And Olivia says, absolutely fabulous. Oh, water. Oh, is that water? Okay, thanks. Just wanted to be sure it wasn't vodka. Thank you so much. Lots of great compliments. My mom says henna is a beauty and the border is fab. Also those Prati flowers. It's just gorgeous. Another out of the park piece. This is just beautiful. And you sent a couple other pieces that are also extraordinary. Pam says, Kathy, I use my memory of my grandma's chickens. She had barred rocks. They are called barred rocks. Okay, so leave it to me to say a bad word, right? And it wasn't even right. I don't know what a barred rock is, but I'm guessing it's a chicken. Now I know it's a chicken. Okay, I'm going to just put the lip zipper on, and it's a breed of chicken. Okay, I'm going to defer to you and assume that all of the typos are mine. She is so, so pretty. Pam, you sent in two more pieces that were exceptionally pretty. This is called Door Pocket, hooked with sari silk ribbon on burlap linen, which is like Scottish burlap, I think. I'm getting this one sewn up and a handle attached, and it will go to my twin sister in Michigan for our birthday. That is just lovely. I'm gonna unlock this one too, so get ready. I'm gonna unlock this one too and drag a little bit. Hold on one second. Hold on, let me lock. No, hold on. It's me being stupid. Wait a minute. I just want you to see. There we go. I want you to see this close up because the sari ribbon really is, it's so crispy and crunchy, and it hooks up. It would make a great bag. It really would, Andrea. It hooks up so crispy and crunchy, but it has such a glow, right? Silk is so much more luminous than wool. We get great effects with wool. Um, but yeah, I mean, silk gives you a completely different effect. It has a little bit of a needlepoint effect, doesn't it? The loops are not as lofty. It makes a very busy finish, but it almost looks like knot work. It gives a more miniature loop, depending on the size of your sari ribbon. But because of its weight, it's not as bulky and heavy. When you pull it down, right, and the loop is complete on the surface, it is smaller than a wool loop will be because the material is a lot thinner. It's got to be if it's sari silk. So it's just so nice to look at the finish of a piece like this because it looks different than something you would do with with wool loops, right? It is really exceptionally pretty. Make sure, Pam, that you take a picture of it when you do the thing with the handle and you send it to your twin. I'm curious to see it when it's finished as well. It is just gorgeous. And this is the third piece you sent. Super, super lovely. Number 3, my Betsy Ross flag. I hooked on July 4th and finished on July 5th. I love it how you set these projects for yourself. I just love it. Aren't projects the best? Setting a project for yourself, it's like an assignment that you want to do, isn't it? It feels so good to get stuff done, too. So you started on the 4th of July and you finished it on the 5th. The wools are number 6 strips on linen burlap. This is 6.5 by 13 inches. I hooked the flag first with some darker red stripes, but the value just wasn't right with the blue I used. So I ordered a more muted / faded red, which worked much better. I'll be framing henna and the flag later on this summer. I see what you mean. You know, the fact that it is the Betsy Ross flag and it does represent the 13 original colonies, it is historic and thus old. And we tend to picture flags, you know, this particular flag as being old and faded. Not new and pristine. And I can see why you've got more of a denim blue in there than the really bright blue. I can see why you wanted a more muted red as well. When you move towards the rosy reds for flags of this era, it just looks better. It just feels better. You knew, you know, inside your painterly self, you knew that the red was too bright and it wasn't giving the right impression to a very old and historic flag. So it was a great thing. I know it was probably aggravating, but it was a great thing that you switched that out because I think that this looks absolutely perfect. And Pam says, I ripped the ribbon into strips. Interesting. So Pam, you ripped the ribbon into strips. So was it wider sari ribbon or you didn't rip, not regular, because that's so thin to begin with. Did you have sari silk and you ripped it into strips and made the ribbon yourself? Maybe that's what you mean. It's so great to be able to find things like kimonos. Kaz gave me a bunch of kimonos that I use for a different project that I won't even mention because too much confusion, but tarot cards. You know, I'm hooking one of those into one of my tarot designs that I really love, different project. But it's so fun finding things like kimonos and saris, S-A-R-I, because yes, you can, silk rips beautifully. And does it make that curly edge when you rip? Yes. And does that affect the way that it hooks up? No. It looks beautiful when it hooks up. If anything, it upsets the silk a little bit, and it gives it a little bit more body, a little more ruffle on the edge, which I think helps it hook up with a little more body. So many fun things that you can find. Talking about flour pounding and, oh, wait a minute. Somebody said something about flour pounding. Wait a minute. Did I miss it or did I catch it? Label. I saw something about, hang on. Let me go up just a little bit if I can. Hopefully I don't screw us up here. Let's see. Flour pounded wool. Yeah, wait a minute. How beautiful. Yeah, Karen said, how beautiful would those pounded flour pieces be for your label? That would be absolutely beautiful. That's a great idea. I just love the idea. I think flour pounding appeals to a lot of us because we are thrifty people. That's why we do this craft. There is something about you and me that we like using stuff, right? Leftover stuff, and using it to make something new and beautiful, right? Repurposing and recycling. Whether you feel like you're a green person or not, We like using up old stuff, whether we are being economical, right, or whether we just love that the historic backbone to this craft. We like that stuff. So it's not surprising to me that it would be interesting to many of you too to think about saving flowers that have special memories for you and using them in your pieces somehow. That's why I named the magazine Magpie Times, because I feel there's an element of a magpie bird, right? A collector, right? Built-in collector in most of us, right? If not all of us. And that inner magpie makes us want to collect memories, collect scraps, collect materials, and incorporate them into pieces that are eternal, right? The pieces that we make, the pieces that we finish, the pieces that we display, the pieces that we put into books. This is our legacy. And I think it's more important for us in this craft than, for example, many other crafts, right? Maybe knitters don't have this as strong, although you do see people knitting with their cat hair or human hair, right? So you do see elements of this kind of mindset in different crafts. But it's very easy, I think, in rug hooking to be able to incorporate things from other places, memories and physical things that are ripped up, like the sari ribbon, like the pounded flowers cut up and hooked into a piece, and then you know that all of that storytelling is in that piece. Sorry, I'm so thirsty. I'm drinking alcohol for thirst. That's not good, is it? Pam says, I had sari ribbon already in strips, but it was wider than I liked. Oh, okay, so you had it quite wide. Yeah, I sometimes see on Etsy like the balls that are quite wide. Interesting. But it was wider than I liked. This is more the size. So if you haven't worked with, not Pam, if you haven't worked with sari ribbon before, just realize it is actually coming from typically a sari garment, right? And for that reason, it will be of certain lengths. And when you get it, for example, on Etsy, it's often already rolled into a ball or some kind of a hank, and it is already stitched together. So you've got seams, right? And you can kind of break at seams, cut at seams, just to give you lengths, because it's typically already joined, right? People are I'm not sure what people are thinking you're going to use it for, but as rug hookers, right, we do like a continuous length, but sometimes it goes from one pattern or color to a distinctly different pattern or color, like something that's like light white and nice and quiet to fuchsia and gold metallic. So yeah, there's so much variety in using sari fabric. Just know what you're getting when you order it. Pam says more of a size 5 or 6 once I ripped it. Yeah, it looks very petite, and I think that's why the overall effect looks like stitches. It's absolutely beautiful. It almost looks like petty point. I just cut the seams out. Yeah, you know, and for people who hook in more of the wild sort of bohemian style, maybe you like the seams in there. Maybe you're like, yeah, more craziness, right? I'll take it. I just remembered one thing I wanted to say earlier. God, this brassiere is so uncomfortable. Not that, not that. One thing I wanted to say earlier, Andrea, it was your piece, Green Man. You said in the note that you wrote to me something like, you were reluctant to outline the face because you were afraid that it was going to make it look cartoony. I just wanted to say something to that, and it can definitely look cartoony. So like the image that I showed you of the face that I'm working on, for example, this is a conversation that is well worth having. Hold on one second. Let me come back over here. Let's talk about this. I think this is quite an important point. So, cartoony, right? If wait a minute. Sorry, I'm fooling around, unlocking stuff. This, maybe you read this as cartoony. So I read this as more graphic than cartoony, but it could be read both ways. I think for me, cartoon is a context. Like it has more of a storytelling context. This does have text on it. It's called Hat Head, and it says it on the pattern. But when I think of cartoony and rug hooking, I think of James and Mercedes Hutchinson, and there being like a funny rhyme that like pokes fun at somebody, and it really does function as a cartoon, like satire. Cartoony is a style, but things that are cartoony can be confused with things that are graphic. Graphic just simply means that you have made an artistic, right? Artistic, not that you lacked the talent to do otherwise. But you have made a choice to do something in a simplified way that is stylized and is artistically, the choice is artistic. That's the key word, right? It's not like, oh, suck at realism. Why don't I do this instead? When you do something that is stylized, sometimes people who are great watercolorists and do great realism cannot do stuff that is stylized. It's apples and oranges, right? We gravitate toward one thing or the other. When you sing, maybe you're a soprano, maybe you're an alto. It is what it is, right? And you work with what you get. And yes, you can improve and learn and change your style. But as far as things being cartoony, things can look cartoony, but I think it depends on the context. Just because something is outlined, I don't think personally is going to make something look cartoony. And I would say, think about, for example, that scared me. Think about the work of Dion Fitzpatrick, right? Like the most famous rug hooker of our time. She does those anonymous faces, and her work is typically outlined. She seems to hook the black outline a little bit lower, or likewise, she hooks everything else around it higher. But you do see outlining, and it does help define spaces. She works in a very thoughtful graphic style as well, very stylized, right? So working in a cartoony style is not necessarily bad. It helps solve problems, right? And the only thing that you can do other than solve problems by making contrast choices. When you outline, you're making a choice about contrast, right? You know there needs to be a higher contrast so the thing pops and is distinct and is readable, and maybe you think, oh, it's going to look cartoony because there's high contrast. No, there's high contrast because you're smart enough to know that you need to have some kind of distinction, right? There has to be some kind of a break so your eye can read the entire composition quickly, successfully. And you can easily do that, right? You do that technique by using high contrast, and that is outlining. That is the same as outlining. The only thing to do other than that is to shade, right? And it is a huge spectrum in between, but you do get people who work right in the middle, who do a little bit of shading, a tiny bit of outlining, and then you get people like me who are extreme on one side, just the lines, right? I choose the lines insanely and studiously, right? Every line you'll see in this video I put out, I think about, and I think about what I'm doing, and I'm thinking about the implications and the after effects of hooking this part in with this line there. It is just, in my book, as artful as shading, is working in the style of realism and high shading. It's up to you where your taste lies, right? Because both are there, both are possible. It's possible to learn both, and they both have great merit, right? So let's keep going. And oh, Gail, good morning. I hope it's a nice sunny morning in Australia. Rise and shine, right? Good to see you, my love. All right, let me find where we were at. Melissa, I think you were on deck. Let me just check. Yep. Okay, Melissa, Melissa, you gave me a project this week. I love it. I love a project. All right, let's do this. Okay, we are on page 2. Here we go. So Melissa wrote and said, hi, Deanna. I am sharing a sweet photo of 2 things I love, a pink Cadillac and the iconic Airstream camper. Oh, I love me an Airstream too. This pic is a for real shot taken at a gas station about 45 minutes from my home. My question is, now I'm going to put this out to you all too. My question is, how might a rug be created from this picture? Thanks. All right, Melissa, I love a challenge. Oh no, is it raining and cold? Oh, Gail, I'm sorry. How great is this pic? It's so great. Okay, so let's think about this. I'm gonna have to flip back and forth between, because I need hey buttons, I need a photo reference. Let's do this together. I think I have turned into my grandmother, complaining about like the way my bra feels, and cutting up hundreds of pieces of paper to save instead of throwing them out. I also have a million notebooks. Okay, somebody has to make a cameo. Let's give him a hot minute. This is my sweet love. Right, come here, my sweet love. You want to come to the camera? Here he is. That's my sweet love. My sweetie. He with me all the time. He wants to be around the house with me all the time. I carry him like this, like he's a baby. And if you're thinking, oh, is he such a lame little lapdog? No, he is a sporty killer, right? He is a tough guy. He is a sweet and tough guy. He would never hurt any of his people. But his tongue is always sticking out like that. Look at that face. I love him so much. All right, Buttons. I'm going to work on a composition with an Airstream and a beautiful old car. I'm going to do that. So I need to put you down. I gonna need both my hands. Oh gosh, you're gonna put me down. I just got on the camera. All right, here he goes. There he goes. I love you, baby. So let's do this together. Um, Pam says the equivalent of, I could on the show, right? Because I'm cut off right here. I'm so tired. I'm not tired of underwires, right? Sorry, guys. But there's so many commercials lately that people are like, I hate my underwires. And it's like, I don't hate them that much. I mean, I need them. So I don't hate them that much. I can live with the wire, but I think this is probably just old and exceptionally stupid. It's a stupid brassiere. Oh, my baby Buttons, he is the best boy. He is fierce. Man, does he love his people, right? Let's look at this and help me with this. Help me with this project. Let's look one more time. I'm going to draw real fast while you look. Now you think about this too. Don't leave this with me. You need to help me here too. I'm going to draw a couple of things here. I'm going to draw the Cadillac shape. Now, Melissa, I know because of your eternal love for Elvis, right? And you have a piece called Pink Cadillac or something, right? This era of thing is like super. This era of car, this era style-wise is super appealing to you. I'm sure I'm going to get the proportions wrong, but I'm trying my best here. Hold on one second while I sketch. Maybe you all can sketch too. See if you can help me with this. See if we can come up with some different ideas. This is really a dream glamping thing, isn't it? Really is. I'm just drawing the lines across. It's not going to, I love, what do you call that thing on the back that looks like a fin? Is it called a fin? Looks like a rocket or something. I made it way too pronounced, so it looks more like the Batmobile, so I wouldn't have it that way. Let's see. I can see the back wheel is a little bit hidden, isn't it? Now, it's hitched to the Airstream, which is a lot easier for me to draw. If you're drawing it too, just pay attention, because the Airstream is about twice as tall as the car is, so that's something to note. Now, let's see. And let's work this into a composition. I am going to, as with most, sorry, I have to concentrate sometimes when I'm drawing. As with all things that we do in rug making, sometimes you need to make some strategic decisions about what you keep and what you don't keep, right? That's it. So do photographers, right? And so does everybody. So do people who design fashion. Is it a pink Cadillac or a T-Bird? That's a good question, Melissa. Do you know the answer to that? That would make a great kidney pillow. That would make a great kidney pillow. That would make a great kidney pillow. I know I'm going to come back. I know I'm going to come back to that and know what you mean. Let me think on this. So let's work on this together. It's a Cadillac. Let's look at what I did here. Let's look at this together. So here we go. Now, with this composition, we've got the air. Now, the proportions are not right. I'm just thinking. Let's talk about what about this composition is going to make turning this into a rug design difficult or easy. And feel free to join in the conversation. I'm going to tell you the first thing that pops into my mind. It's long, right? It's long. It's not even as long as it actually is in the picture, right? Look over here again. It's way longer. So what immediately strikes me is, I know that in the photo we are looking at a gas station in the background, and that's probably not what you want. As I was saying, when you're putting a composition together, right, you're not going to choose to include the Irving gas pumps, right, and the patchwork paving of the parking lot, and the wire posts, the utility posts in the background. You're not going to include any of that. So the questions are going to become, do you want to create the scene in an idyllic setting? This looks like a real sort of mid-century piece. Do you want to do something mid-century with it? Hold that thought for just a second. The foremost problem that I see is that it's long, right? It's even longer than this. So I'm going to start saying for myself as an idea, if I were approaching this as a motif, I would say this motif is going to be an unusual sized rug. It's going to have unusual dimensions. It might be that I make it into a yard long, right? Or something like a yard long that's long and skinny. Maybe my plan is to put it over a door or in some odd place. But instead of fighting against the nature of this motif being like this, right? Fighting against that and trying to put it into a square composition and saying, how can I do this, right? It's not working. There's a reason why when we see rug hooked trains and things like that, that they're often long and skinny, right? And that's just the nature of the motif, lends itself better to this kind of a framing. Once you have that kind of framing in place, and we're going to continue the other conversation a little bit too. I'm not going to go totally crazy, but with this kind of composition, golden rectangle, traditional rectangle frame, it is going to be tricky, isn't it? It is going to be tricky. This is a clunky shape to have within this frame. So the first thing you need to do is frame your thing out. If you're thinking, well, I want to do something that's more pattern driven. I don't want to do something that's necessarily literal. Well, then think about what patterns look like and create this pattern as a repeat, right? Pretend this is the car again with the trailer behind it. Repeat it, right? Repeat it so that it is an all over pattern. And maybe some of the cars, this is a whatever Cadillac and the other is a whatever different kind of car make, T-Bird, right? And it's a pattern, and there's a different airstream with the different cars, and they're patterned, and you're seeing some of them cut off, right? But it's different antique cars, and now you've created multiples, and it's going to make a great, totally reminds me of that too, Pam. The Desi and Lucy, the long trailer. That was so good. Absolutely reminds me of that too. This is one way of overcoming the weird shape, is to do a repeat pattern. And you could do it as a repeat with the same pink Cadillac, or you could substitute, maybe the story is the Airstream. And if you repeat the Airstream many times, right, in the same color, but with different, hitched to different cars, then you've got a really interesting composition of multiples, but it still has a lot of variety. That would be super cool. You could also think about, if you don't want to do the long skinny and you want it to be something like this, you can think about context, right? So here we are again, my proportions are off again. These are the two vehicles. Pretend that's a little bit longer, a little bit off composition wise. Do a bit of storytelling. Is it going to be, do you want, is it on the road, right? And if so, right, we got to accommodate like some movement for the road. Are we in a part of the country where there's, for example, palm trees? Or are you at a drive-in movie theater and I can't write drive-in backward, or can I? Right? Maybe I can. Oh my God, I can. You're at a drive-in movie theater, right? Same thing. Maybe there's other cars, or maybe it's just night and there's a few stars, right? But you've got a motif that puts context. It gives these vehicles context because they are of an age, and so is the drive-in movie theater, right? So something like that. You could also come back to the idea of accommodating this irregular shape, right? These two items together, these two motifs together, create a fairly irregular shape that is a bit difficult to work with. So maybe we do want to create a literal scene. The problem with something like this is when you've got the road, right, it becomes very boring. It becomes a layer cake. And that isn't always a good thing. If I was going to do a yard long, I probably would make it skinnier and have, if I'm going to make it a layer cake, it's going to be a layer cake, right? Maybe I've got the road here. The story really is this. And maybe in the background, there are mountains or whatever, right? Maybe a specific range that you know that you love, and here he goes down the road. You could also think about where you're parking the thing. Olivia, exactly. That's exactly where I'm going with this. Looking out at the sea, holiday vibe, absolutely. Even without the palm trees, beautiful pink car, let's look at it again. Could be parked where, right? This is like Mad Libs. Where could it be parked? In front of a bakery, in front of a cafe with tables spilling out onto the sidewalk, in front of a beautiful pink mansion. Maybe it's a joke and there's a pink mansion. Maybe it's parked in front of, what is the name of Elvis's house? Okay, I know you all are going to tell me because that's going to drive me crazy. Pam, the Grand Canyon? Yes. Graceland, thank you. Exactly. These are all great ideas. We're all having the same ideas. You see what I mean? So the storytelling is going to come into it. Thinking about where it's set, what makes sense, how far do you want to go with this story? It is out of place at a gas station. Barbie, yeah, it is super. It totally reminds me of the Barbie movie. Maybe because I saw the Barbie movie at the drive-in, crossing wires a little bit. But the question is going to be, where do I want to set the thing? And if you are setting it in a place where you really want that mid-century modern look, then you want to be thinking about the mid-century shapes that are all curvy like this, right? And curvy like the arrowhead kind of thing I drew. Stuff like this that is of that period. All this sort of atomic stuff, right? Having motifs like this in the background that are mid-century modern style motifs that fit the background of this. Maybe behind here, this is a layer, right? Maybe there's like a layer of just buildings like on the strip, right? And maybe it's quite dark, so it's not distracting. And these two things, the bright silver metallic Airstream and the pink Cadillac, really stand out. Maybe it's a strip. And maybe on the strip you have some neon signs like kind of Las Vegas, right? Viva Las Vegas-y. And maybe they have a bit of a mid-century feel to them, and there's mid-century fonts to them. So I think something like this, you have two decisions to make because it is so irregular as a motif. It's a great storytelling idea. Huge billboard, that's a great one. Huge billboard. This is the era of the billboards, isn't it? Schiffer put out a great book, the publisher Schiffer, on the history of roadside billboard advertisements. It's absolutely fantastic. Depending on how realistic and how funny you want to be, you could advertise something really funny on there, like 5 miles to Graceland, right? Pam says, what about a postcard? Ooh, from the 1950s look, California, Miami, absolutely. That would be amazing too. Could be night, could be day. So let's just review, what are we talking about? Do we want something that is, first of all, a shape with a repeat pattern, right? That's a nice flat way to get a lot. If you love the Airstream with the car, that's the best way to get a lot of both. Or are you going to go for a full scene in a traditional format, like a rectangle or a square? And then how are you going to fill the space? Are you going to fill it with layers of interest? Or are you going to crop it so that it's something more like this? When you have this, you really don't need anything in the background, right? Because you've cropped it appropriately. You could have nothing in the background. The story could just be this. You could have text. Music is playing from the car. Elvis song. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Is that a hound dog? Is that an Elvis song? That's an Elvis song, right? I'm not up. I'm not up. You gotta help me when I see you get up on my Elvis. But you could have because Melissa, you love hooking text. You could have words from a Elvis song, right, coming out of the car or whatever, however this strikes you. But you could have text in this. Text would replace any need for any backdrop, right? It's text. Text in the sunlit day, text in the night air. Either one is going to work great. All of these ideas are fantastic. What is the shape? What is the frame you're going to do? Are you doing storytelling? Do you want it literal? If you want it literal, this is an odd enough shape that you might have to break into layers. What time of day are we talking about? Do you want to layer on bling that gives it this period look, of the period of these two things, right? Do you want to give it that kind of look? Do you want to create a composition where there are sort of bookends to it, right? If you create a composition where you have got, oh, this is a nice long skinny piece, look at that. If you have got, I'm just going to frame it, your Airstream, and the car is pulling it here, right? Again, awful. I'm just going to do the basic shape. Right, if you have something like that, this is your story. Maybe there's some text coming out of the air, you might want to think of a composition where you bookend it on both sides. Maybe these are people on both sides, maybe these are specific trees on both sides, but maybe you want a very flat, folky composition where there's something here and there's something there, and there's your motif in the middle. All of these Springsteen lyrics, that sounds good too. All of these ideas are great ideas. They're all really good ideas. When you're approaching any design, oh, I meant to come back to here. When you're approaching any design, you have to ask yourself the most obvious questions first. The thing that I want to illustrate, what size is it? And what size frame am I working with? If it's a period thing that has period appeal, like an Airstream, am I gonna put my foot down on the gas, pun intended, and make this a complete period piece? And if so, then I want to start looking at and researching billboard signs, advertising signs, things of that period. How literal and how much storytelling do I want to do with this piece? What are the most important elements to me? Is what you liked about that photograph, that the freedom that is implied, the freedom and the adventure that is implied, what goes with that? A specific setting, listening to specific music, what goes with that feeling for you? And that's the next thing that needs to be addressed, right? What's the next thing that's important to illustrate, right? If you're thinking, oh, I was totally thinking Viva Las Vegas, then that's where you have to go with that. If you were thinking, I was thinking of a song, that's why I liked it, because it reminded me of the song, then you want to think about the song, possibly the lyrics. There's so many different ways that you can go with any composition. Hopefully that helped, because that's a tough one. That was a good challenge. I appreciate that. I love a good live challenge. I'm curious to see whether you're going to do something with that Airstream. Isn't it funny how you pull up to the gas station and that's sitting there waiting? It's just like when you're in the mindset of doing projects, doing art, creating compositions, particularly when you design your own stuff. Also, if you don't, right, because you add and you alter stuff to stuff you're already working on. Isn't it exciting when something presents itself to you, right? It is total serendipity when something is just right there, right? Just right there for the taking. And some days maybe you miss it because you're like not in the mood, and you're like, dang it, I have to go inside because it's not reading my credit card. And you go inside and you walk right by the Airstream with a Cadillac. So maybe a lot of days are like that. And other days you're in a pretty good mood and you're gassing up the car. There's no issues. And you look over and you go, my God, that was meant to be, wasn't it? That was for me. That the universe put that there for me. Judy says, we're going riding on the freeway of love wins against our backs. We're going riding on the freeway of love in my pink Cadillac. Okay, Aretha Franklin. I knew you were doing lyrics there. I think I know that song. I might be crossing it with Tina Turner. Rollin'. I think I'm crossing it with Tina Turner's Rollin', Rollin', Rollin' on the... I'm going to have to look up that song too. But yes, see, it brings up different things for different people. And guess what? The motif of an Airstream with an old car is not copyrighted. If you have a great idea and you're thinking, oh yes, do it, right? Do it. Because Melissa saw that for a reason. Maybe it was for her, but maybe it was for 100 other people too. Melissa would be the first person to say yes, right? Super fun. Great idea. Thank you so much for putting that in front of me. Kathleen, let's look at some of your gems in this. Pink Cadillac is a great song. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have such a blind spot with so many of these songs. Got some homework to do after this, right? Kathy, you are the queen of primitive. You sent some beautiful pieces in tonight. You said, can you make him stop? I'm wondering if I'm not sure if you sent me text for these. I only got the line that said, just in case you're having a gallery night tomorrow night, and I am, and you needed pieces. I always need your pieces. So that was the only text I got. And if I missed text, I'm so sorry. These are all great pieces and we can talk through them. This is super lovely. I just love the fills you do. You've got a real marble cake background going on here. Looks like the sheep are hooked a little bit higher. Super, super pretty. They really stand out. You know what I really love about this piece? Talk about bookends, right? I was just talking about a composition where like the main thing is in the middle, and in this case it's the text, rug hooker, right? It's like a tag, right? Identifying tag, rug hooker. And there's two bookends on the sides. This is always a great design idea. It always works. It's always a successful design because it's balanced. So perfect, perfect slide to go into next. What I really love the most about this piece is the way that you hooked the letters. The font is fantastic. You know, I see a lot of primitive style stuff, and it's usually the same font. It's super clear font. It looks like, you know, something from an old classroom or an old textbook. But this is a more unexpected font. It's more fluid. It's tall and skinny. It's different. It's, for me, more exciting. I really love this. I love the symmetry of it. I love the colors that you did. These are Kathy colors for sure. I love the bodies of the sheep. They have a good lumpy quality and they really stand out. I really think you must have hooked this a little bit higher. It's so pretty. That nice kind of ochre caramel color for the words. It's hard to choose a color for the words because you don't want it to stand out so much that it's like jarring. But you do want it to stand out enough that you can read what it says. I just love it. And I love that it's like one word, like it's like a license plate. Rug hooker, right? Super, super cute. Hits close to home. I love things that reference being a rug hooker because there's not many of them out there. So it's nice to see a design where you're incorporating the pride of being a rug hooker with a good primitive design. And like I said, you are the queen of primitives. This is another great design. I absolutely love this. I love the flowers, the big fat round flowers. I love the budding flowers as well. They almost look like moons emerging out of these little leaves. This is a great composition, and this is a really unusual primitive composition. By the way that you've handled that dark background, those color changes are super mysterious. Oh, the sheep was hooked with yarn. Oh, it really stands out. That was a really good idea. It super, super stands out, which is just what you want, right? The way you hook the background of this is spectacular. It's a bit smudgy. It reminds me a little bit of velvet. It really is, or maybe I'm still thinking about Elvis. It really is stunning. It's really stunning. So the floral is interesting. This floral is really interesting for me for many reasons. I love your background, and I love the textured wool that you used for the flowers and the little mound at the bottom. This is really unusual because normally with floral compositions, number one, we see a pot, a vase, or a basket. Always, right? Kind of always. This is just coming out of a little mound. That's really different, isn't it? That's really different. It really simplifies the composition, and it doesn't strike me as anything that I've seen before. It doesn't strike me as a classic prim composition because that is really different, and it's smart. Why didn't I think of that? I should have had a V8. The other thing about this composition that's really different is we typically see, and I do this too as a designer, bending over backward to get some flowers in the center of the composition. The designer, I don't know who the designer is for this, does not do that. Just full blast. Doesn't make sense to have a flower in the middle. Too matchy-matchy. Just plugging in some leaves. And it looks great. It actually looks really natural. And the flowers create kind of a border or frame around the edge. It's very smart composition. It's very, very unlikely, right? There's two things going on here that are oddball components that are so brilliant that I am really jealous. It's a beautiful composition. Whoever did it is a genius, and it is beautifully hooked. Kathy says it is American Country Rugs was the designer. It's absolutely brilliant. Almost looks like a little carrot top and all of this springing from it. Really smart. I love that there isn't a huge push to be symmetrical. It looks very organic and still in the primitive style, but very unusual composition and really well hooked. Judy says the lighter wispy elements in the background give a lot of motion to a static composition. Absolutely, that's true. When we're thinking about how things are hooked up, we want to think about energy. Think about the ideas we just threw around for the Airstream with the Cadillac. Energy, right? You look at that motif and it already has energy, right? It's got like this kinetic thing happening. It's a vehicle. It's already got movement, whether it's moving or not, whether it's parked at the gas station or not. It has an energy about it. A piece that has energy is always going to be a good thing, right? It's hard to get energy into static pieces, but like what Judy's saying, doing a background like this that has this extra touch, this mysterious layer of interest in the background, is really lights up this piece. It's very, very smart, very well done. Kathy, I will never stop being amazed at how you seem to have an infinite amount of ways of hooking primitives so that each one is different and each one is special. It's really something. So this is a more classic primitive composition. This is all symmetry, and I absolutely love this composition as well. Very bare, very basic, very balanced. The thing that is unusual, the Kathy in this, is the unexpected colors, isn't it? It really is. I've seen compositions like this where you get the Padula type flowers, the sort of fictional flowers. The pot, you get the zigzag on the pot. All of this has been done, but I can't think of another time when I've seen such a commitment to a lighter color palette in a primitive piece like this. You fully expect the background to be black or eggplant, right? Navy, something like that, dark brown, white, right? Marble cake fill, white background. Very, very smart. Even the way that you've handled the vase, very subtle shades, very subtle shifts, still not matchy matchy. You've got some wavy lines, right? It feels very fluid. It has, I don't want to use the word cartoony now because I'm scared of that word. It has a very fluid sketchbook. Let's go with sketchbook quality. I really love it. I love all of these that you sent. These are all gorgeous. You have your own special take on everything that you do. The most colorful flower is in the middle. I think that's helping a lot. Pam says the basket is so sweet. I am in love with that antique blue green, almost one of those 1940s, 1950s greens that was used in quilts. Yeah, absolutely. So if you're looking for that kind of green, and you are someone who likes to dye, DYE, I would say go for country green. It is a pro chem color. Country green is this exact kind of a blue green, at least the way I'm seeing it on my monitor. It is so so different than every other color. Country green for me is a standout color. It's about 50-50 between like a nice sagey green and like a Wedgwood blue. It's right in the middle. Very country color, very vintage feel to it. It's if you are a dyer, it has to be in your collection if you like primitive stuff. Country green, absolutely beautiful, Kathy. I love all three of them. Jessica, you sent some beauties in as well. You wrote, "Hi, I don't know if I missed gallery night, but here are two projects I'm working on. Number one, the first is a small memory mat. Oops, sorry, how'd I do that? Is a small memory mat about 12 by 18 of my husband and daughter after a daddy-daughter dance. I took a video of them dancing to their favorite song of the night, Adele's Easy on Me." Now, I know I don't know that song, but I bet it's absolutely beautiful. Watching the video chokes me up every time. There's a lot of love in this one. I was playing with the binding, adding the cording detail. Maybe I'll do a third row, question mark. I'm not sure yet. Ah, I really like it. Um, Judy asked, do you dye your wool, Kathy? Your color choices are always so spot on. Good question, Judy. Her colors are incredible. Jessica, I just love this piece. One of your many story rugs to go into your future book. Your family rugs, your family is right at the center for you. You do stuff that is so based on faith and family, your storytelling. You do the anonymous faces in your work. I really love that. It really helps relate to very specific scenes. This is such a moment, right? And the idea of the little girls with their dads, the fact that the dads are dressed in a similar way, similar color scheme, and so are the girls. The repetition turns into something of like a multiples composition, makes it very easy to read. I love the Pradi effect, the sort of flower petal effect. It's absolutely beautiful. The fact that it's outside, it looks like an orange sky, like a sunset, reminds me of sunrise, sunset. It's just, colors are beautiful. It's a small mat. It is a memory mat. It's a moment in time. It is just gorgeous. I love the cord that you put on it. I would personally stop there. And I love the cord because it's standing, right? It's standing on the surface. And the color is a good tie-in with the color of the daddy's shirts. But I personally wouldn't add another round because it's a small piece. I think when you have a small piece, for me, I like to keep it more simple. And by putting lots of edges on it, I feel like it then turns into more of a sampler piece. It's complete. The whole story is there. The feeling is there. The sentiment is there. It's so good. I'm sure it's making everybody who looks at it feel like they're there too. I think it's complete. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Kathy answered of the last rug, I tend to use textures and let the wool do the work. That's a great answer. And Jessica sent this one in as well. Another gorgeous, very personal rug. Another almost finished project is a gift from my mother's best friend, Carla. She asked me for something to remember my mom, oh boy, to remember my mom by, and this is from a sunflower festival they attended years ago, before my mom's cancer diagnosis. My mom is hanging in there, by the way, and she speaks to Carla pretty much every day. I love how transparent you are about this. I know this is such a heavy baseline in your life and in your family's life, and I love how you are right there in the pain, in the worry, in the stress, in the fear. You are always right there, um, honoring like all of the different emotions, and shoring up memories, right? You're so good at doing this, Jessica. um, yeah, it's just your rugs are often heartbreaking and have heavy themes, but they are all beautiful, and you put such a great spin on everything. And you wrote, by the way, she speaks to Carla pretty, I'm choking up, of course, pretty much every day. May we all have a friend like her that uh-oh, leans in during the hardest times. I entered this one for display at Solder and need to bind it soon. Maybe a double binding with these two browns. Okay, give me a second. Let me take a sip of my drink. This is just a beautiful memory of the sunflower field. I love this. Jessica, it looks like you were felting again. I know sometimes you felt directly onto the backing, which in this case I think is linen. You have, I think, done some needle felting, which came out fantastic. And I love the perspective. I love the fact that there are so many sunflowers that are disappearing, right? They are at a distance. I'm going to run over tonight as usual. I'm sorry. I love the prati, the use of prati as well. So you have got three techniques. You've got hooking, you've got prati, and you've got felting, at least. Now you're looking at cording the edges of this one. You didn't say the size on this one, but um, it's a tough one. I mean, for me, I think I would, if I was going to do cording around the edge, I think I would stick with the dark one. Again, I feel like you have achieved something very difficult with the amount of sunflowers that just fade off into the distance to the horizon line. Um, I don't know that I would want to introduce any more light colors that might compete with the light values of the sunflowers. That's why, for myself, I think I would stay away from the tan. It matches, but I think it would take away from it. I think I would just stick with the dark border. I think it is perfect the way that it is. You have a lot of techniques and a lot of interest already, so I would stick with just the dark personally. But obviously, you have to do it in whatever way you think is the best for you. I absolutely love it, and you can't screw this up. This is so beautiful, just the way it is. Barbara says, Mom and Carla are amazing. And my mom says, a glorious rug with so much backstory that makes it extra meaningful to you as the maker. Blessings to your mom, her friend, and you, their witness. Yes, and the recorder of everything. Not just your mom's story and your mom's diagnosis and that part of your lives, but also other family members. I mean, everything you do has a family backbone to it, and that's why I want to get working on these book projects, because you have so much right there on the surface. These are both so beautiful, Jessica. Barbara, this is another thing that was so different. You never fail to surprise me. You have got so much. Hold on one second. You've got so much in your bag of tricks. It's crazy. Jessica says, I just got on and you were talking about my rug. Thank you. I think I will go with the dark. Good. And we looked at the other one right before it. Happy Friday night. Um, Diane says, amazing. And Gail says, you are such a beautiful person. She really is. She really is. Oh, absolutely beautiful. This is what we're here for. We all do different kinds of work. It all comes from a different place. We are all called to do something different, right? And that's why, I think classes are great and experimenting is great and all of that. But when you have such a strong instinct to do, you know what your next drug is, you know what you need to do, that's a calling. And there's no reason to deviate from that, right? Because we all have so many stories to tell. It's great to see such variety on these gallery night shows. And that's why we do them, right? To celebrate each other. and the variety, right? Barbara said, Bill and I often collaborate. Do you? I didn't know you and Bill collaborated on projects. You often collaborate on projects. We're getting ready to repaint Bill's bathroom. One key to happy marriages is definitely separate bathrooms if possible. That sounds brilliant, actually. I created and hooked a simple cat motif in leftover darks and lights using a wooden cutting board as the template. Smart. Smart. As the template, wait a minute. Bill mounted the antique brass letters on an upcycled cherry cabinet door. Wow, that is really smart. How fun is that? You're putting a piece into Bill's bathroom. That really is so fun and funny and clever. This is an adorable piece. I mean, it's a primitive piece, it's a smaller piece, but there's a lot going on here. You've got a great silhouette on this cat. It's not your classic silhouette. This is not the silhouette you're going to find when you Google public domain silhouette cat, right? This is like really an organic shaped cat. This is just the lumpy way that cats can sometimes look depending on how they're angled. I love the shape. It's very natural looking. I love the monochromatic color palette. And I love that you did something different in the borders. It's a great simple pattern. Simple patterns, when they're done this artistically, are so good to look at. Lots of great directional hooking. There is a ground that the cat is sitting on, and there is movement in the ground. There are up and down stripies. There are waves running under, and even the two sides are handled differently. I like that there's no border on the top. It's unexpected. Catches you by surprise. Your design eye is fantastic. On the right, you've got these much more angular geometric triangle shapes, and including the complete cover of the top right-hand corner like a photographic corner clip, right? But on the left, you have something different going on. You only get half of the corner, right? There's a slope going with your lamb's tongue. You could have started with a half lamb's tongue. I'm so happy that you didn't, because it's so much more interesting that one of the motifs is cut off and the other one is not. So much more interesting. So much for the eye to look at. These rainbow fills, these straight line fills. It's really, really clever. I think you put one more picture in here. Let me see. I think you put one more picture in here. Yeah. Of just close up. So you can see you're doing an echo fill going around the silhouette of the cat, going around the lamb's tongues on the side, and meeting somewhere in the middle. Classic rug hooking technique. Beautiful directional straight across hooking for the cat. That's nice and fast, right? Absolutely a beautiful piece. And what a great idea to use to make a piece for the bathroom, right? It's one of these rooms that we never think about, kitchen and bathroom, right? Making pieces for. Why not? Right? When you're in there, you want stuff to look at that's pretty and decorative. Why shouldn't your talent, right, extend to all of the rooms of the house? It's a really clever idea. Bill is exceptionally handy, I think, but that is a really clever idea. Really pretty piece. Thank you. And let me come to Julie's piece. This is the piece that was the thumbnail piece for today. Have a couple more to look at, so I am running over. So this is Julie Hassler, and Julie writes, "Hello, Deanna. I'd like to submit a new project for gallery cocktail night. The title is Worms. This is 20 by 24. It's in a gallery frame, which means it's kind of pulled over and probably stapled around the back of a frame, like a painting frame. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I just got it. What is wrong with me? Okay, look, behind me, the birds are so large. I didn't realize they were birds. I thought it was abstract. I'm such a dingity dongity. It's birds, and that's why it's called worms, right? There's all these birds in different poses, and they're pulling up worms or trying to. Oh God, that is so good. I don't know how I missed the worms. I'm sorry. Spaghetti-o. I am just moving too fast. That is so pretty. So here are the answers to all of our questions. The technique is punch needle. It's punch needle. You could also hook into wool on door mill wool, plain white wool that I use. If you order wool from me, you get door mill wool. That's the only thing that I use because I think that's what you expect. Oh, get ready. You ready? So punch needle on door mill wool. Now, I do want to say one thing. So Julie is really, really good, and I'm sure you are too. When you are punching into wool, right, very sharp tip, I feel that the danger level is a little bit higher than it is if you're hooking into wool. Right? I'm just putting it out there. If you've never worked directly into wool as your backing fabric, think about it for a second. If you're more of a hooker, maybe start with hooking into wool. Are you going to pull up yarn or wool pieces that leave a giant hole if you change your mind? Yes. Is that going to happen if you hook or punch? Yes. Right? So think about that. You want to get your lines kind of right because it will leave a giant gaping Grand Canyon of a hole. But with punch, you want to be sure that you're pretty confident with punching. Maybe with a project like this, start with the mini punch or the worsted weight punch size-wise rather than the regular, which will make a huge hole. Up to you. Up to you. But the metal tip of a punch needle is definitely more sharp than the dull tip of a rug hook, right? So I feel like if you're new coming to this technique altogether and you're a hooker, it's maybe better to start with hooking. Up to you. Obviously possible in punch form as well because Julie did it. Now, her materials are scrubby yarn, right? So that's the yarn at the craft store that you can crochet or knit into scrubbies, like to make little sponges for the kitchen, right? Or for the bath. Scrubby yarn, hand-dyed. So she hand-dyed the yarn, hand-dyed with Easter egg dye. Whoa! Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? Remember this Easter, me and Joss put out the video of dyeing with the Easter pellets and the gel dyes. It is super brilliant and potent. You can also use different kinds of food dyes like Kool-Aid, like Jell-O, anything that you might add color to. You can leach those colors for rug hooking, right? Give it a try first because sometimes they come out a little unexpected and a little bit weaker. Not this one. Not this one. So the inspiration for Julie was a birdhouse outside of the piano window in her living room. A bird was busy making a nest in my birdhouse. Then I got to enjoy watching her care for and feed 2 babies this spring. They were so fun to watch. I also wanted to say thank you. I got to see your interview. Oh, I got to see your interview with Melissa. I love the magazine, and the interview was great. Thank you, Melissa. From me, too. Thank you for doing that with me. It was an extra special surprise that you mentioned my piece. I'm having a good time working on the Halloween project, too. Oh gosh, Julie, I just love you. I love your work. I was so happy I could meet you. I know we will meet again, hopefully sooner rather than later. I just love your work. You're always doing something different. You're always combining stuff and figuring stuff out. You are a hit the ground running person. You are not a person who needs to be shown something 20 times. And I know this from being in class with you too. You are a hit the ground running person. It's so great to have confidence, right, and whimsy in tandem, just to be able to just work on projects like the thing that you did for Magpie Times and like Worms, right? It's a real gift. And not everybody's comfortable working that way. You are, and you capitalize on it so well, as you should. It's an absolutely beautiful piece. This is the close-up that I have behind me. So now we know that this is hand-dyed scrubby yarn, right? So it's that thick scrubby stuff. So smart. And it looks like a hand-colored background and right into the wool with a punch needle, right into the wool. Just gorgeous. Just gorgeous, Julie. Just going to take a sip of my drink. I just love the colors too. It has the kind of a feel of a Mexican mola, but not really. It doesn't have the darkness, right? It's much more like Matisse to me than, it's a cross between Mexican mola and Matisse for me. But it does have this sort of candle wicked quality. Remember candle wicking, knotting? It does have that quality for me too. So it's a real mashup. It is, Gail says, it's amazing. Judy says, wow, so clever. It is so clever. Such a great piece. It's a great techniques piece. I just love this. I love that you work in so many different styles. All right, I'm going to move on. Sorry for the slurp. Pam says, amazing, Julie. Never would have thought to use scrubby yarn. It does look like candle wicking. So exciting to get all these different ideas. Karen, you sent a piece that you are working on now. It is a sneaky surprise piece, and Karen Garby sent this piece a little more evolved, but I wanted to send you the earlier one because I want you to be surprised when the fall issue of Magpie Times comes out. And have you noticed that in every issue, Kirsten Gay and Karen Garby are working together on a regular feature that's called Pitter Pat Seeds, and they're like seed packets. And for each one, there is this great pattern that fits the season and a certain thing like that is being made into like an advertising packet for seeds for that issue. So this is the glimpse. I'm not going to stretch it, right? I want you to be surprised when you see it a little more finished. But Karen is working away on this. You know, Karen is got so many tricks in your bag of tricks queen. But you're getting an impression and an early glimpse of what this pattern will look like for the upcoming Magpie and what this finished project will look like. So this will be one of many free patterns in Magpie Times. What a lot of fun. I am loving this already. I'm absolutely going crazy for this already. This is so, so beautiful. I have to say also a special shout out, Karen, I love this. And of course you'll show it to us when it's done. I'll show it on gallery night too. Just for those of you who don't get Magpie, you don't have to get Magpie, of course, but it's a lot of fun and it's filled with free patterns. I put out a shout out yesterday, maybe even the day before. I don't know. I put out a shout out. The deadline for Magpie is coming up soon. Remember, Judy and I kind of differed on the deadline because originally it was always supposed to be the 17th, and I don't like changing stuff like that. I'd rather have the magazine come out like a week later. But she's more comfortable with the deadline being closer to August 10th. And she put out a third deadline that I'm not even saying in Raw Cooking Daily, and that's a lot of her base in there. So it is a little confusing, the deadline this time, but I put out a shout out in the last couple of days that was for extreme hookers. And I thought, nobody's going to answer this. I put it out in the Facebook group and I said, you know, are there any extreme hookers out there who, if I send you a pattern or send you something I'm backing, or you print it out as a PDF and just get going, if you think you can get some of this done, to even give me an in progress photo by September 10th. And a bunch of people wrote. I mean, isn't that incredible? That just goes to show where we are with our hooking. That I would have thought people would have just said, that deadline's way too close, no thanks. But I pretty much, with that one post, I'm getting everything hooked up that I needed because I don't have time to hook for this. I'm working on Hat Head, right? I finished something this morning and immediately went to Hat Head. I don't have the time to hook stuff right now for everything. I'm very focused on the book. I did a ton of designing and content for the upcoming Magpie, but I'm so happy that there are so many people out there who can help with the hooking. Thank you so much. It just goes to show where we are with our hooking. And communication is now in place really well. People just come in like the X-Men and get stuff done. It's absolutely incredible. Karen, I cannot wait. I've loved every Pitter Pat Press, Pitter Pat seed packets designed so far. And I know I'm going to love this one the most because I already love the theme. Love it. Oh, Anne, you sent this. Anne, did I ask you, are you going to Tigger? Is that why you did the jean jacket or did you just do the jean jacket because you're smart? Hey, Ted. The reason I say that is because for the Tigger event in the fall, a lot of people are decorating the back of a jean jacket. Now this one is tiny. Of course it's yours. I wouldn't be able to fit my arm into this jacket. I can just tell by looking at it. What a pretty jacket, and it's not the traditional blue jean color, is it? But you did the back. You hooked the back with your toucan, designed this toucan pattern, and put it on the back of a jean jacket. I got off eBay. Wearable art, absolutely. I think I got mine off eBay too, my jean jacket. That I hope I have time to do this, but I just love it. Oh my God, I just had an idea. Oh my God, I just had an idea. What if I doubled down, did 2-for-1 special, and I did one of my, oh my God, haunted rug projects and put that on the back of my jean jacket? Then I would be advertising the upcoming book and I wouldn't have to do 2 projects. I'm doing it. And thank you. This is beautiful. And you are so good. And I love you so much. And I can't wait to see Christy too when you come for the book event. I love your toucan. I love the colors. It's so cool and tropical. I love that he doesn't have a tropical background. I love that it's a darker background. And that kind of swirly fern plant you've got going is so Art Deco and stylized. It's just fantastic. He's grounded on his little branch, and it's very innocuous, that branch. I'm going to make this a little bit stretchier. Thanks, Pam. I think I have to do that. Wait a minute, I screwed up. Hold on. I think I have to do that. I don't think I have a choice time-wise. Let's look at this a little bit bigger. Anne is just such an expert hooker. It's insane. Don't you love the way that the little swirls break the border? And don't you love I love the denim color of the border. That is so clever because it's a denim jacket that is not denim colored. So it's clever. I love the way that the border is being broken, and I love that there are the lighter values of the indigo color on the border. Hold on one second, Ted. Hold on.
Okay.
Ted wants to say hi. Here's my
Hi.
man. Here's my man.
I think I told Buns how to sit
Here,
down.
squat down and say hi. We're
Okay.
going off the green screen.
Hello.
There he is. There's my
Hey.
sweet pea.
Oh, hey, baby.
Here's my sweet pea.
the
He my
bun-
man.
Yeah, Buns came here to follow me.
So proud of him.
I think
Such a
I
good
think
boy.
I taught him how to sit. Buttons. Buttons. Sit down. My voice keeps cracking, so.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Is it time to change and time to rearrange?
Yes. My voice has been
Buttons did
cracking.
not sit down. If you're wondering if Buttons sat down, he did not sit down.
Buttons.
But I bet with more training he will.
Buttons, sit down.
And this is amazing. This is
Buttons,
just,
Buttons, sit down.
you got a lot of people saying hi to you, Ted.
Thank you.
All your buddies are saying hi. I love this piece. This is so good. And sets the bar so high. I don't know if I should have seen this piece. I'm gonna come with something on my back that's Halloweeny. It's not gonna be as good as this, but man, this is beautiful, and I love this. Can't wait to see you. Great job. Super fun. Thanks for all the hellos for Teddy. He's such a good boy. Andrea, you sent a great piece in. You saw my shout out, I think today, not too late for gallery night, and you wrote, I just saw your post about showing the work tonight, and you sent this in, thank goodness, right? Because I missed this. This is I don't even know what to say. This is just amazing. Here is one I hooked in April, May to commemorate the anniversary of the Acadian expulsion. It's Evangeline, right? Evangeline. And I think, I don't know as much about Canadian history as I should, but I think Evangeline is a reference to the Longfellow poem. Am I right about that? Or is Evangeline actually a person and Longfellow wrote the poem Evangeline about a specific person? Sorry, I ought to know that and I don't. But this is Evangeline, hooked from a painting of the late June DeVoe, with permission of the family. Hope you like it. Andrea, I love it. I love it. This is Andrea Warner. I absolutely love it. I'm going to stretch this out a little bit too, and we have one more after this, just so you know, time-wise, if you're flaking it, hang in there, because this is fantastic, and we're getting to the end of the show. I'm so sorry I run over every time. Let's look at this, quite large. Sorry. I was hoping I wasn't showing her phone number. I don't think I did. Absolutely beautiful. So taken from a painting, and I don't know this painting. I wish I would have thought to look for the painting. That would have been helpful, right? Judy says, it's so painterly, just gorgeous. Diane says, oh, Teddy is so cool. He is so cool. This is just gorgeous. I'm going to scroll down in just a minute. What can you say? I'm going to see, hold on a second. Let's look at this for a second. Give me just the one hot minute. Let me see if I can get into my phone after deleting everything and losing all my programs to make space for that video. Let me see if I can find June DeVoe, and if I can, oop, made a sale, thank you. June DeVoe, yep, Evangeline, hold on, Evangeline. Let me see. Hold on, I'm going to see if it's coming up. Ooh, I see it. Okay, let me see if I can share with you, just so we have a reference point. This is beautiful. You can see it a little bit there. Andrea, what you did is this is very painterly, right? It has such an expressionist feel to it. I think it's more contemporary than the expressionist period, early middle 20th century. I think this is more contemporary, but you managed to capture the feel of the piece. You're getting a lot of great comments. It's just amazing. So painterly, just gorgeous. The watercolor look is so evocative and melancholy. It is melancholy. Olivia says, wow, very artistic. My mom says Evangeline is stunning. Love the color palette. It is absolutely beautiful. I love, so for me, the painting was beautiful. Painting is stunning, right? But for me, as a rug maker and someone who loves textiles, I have to say there is an added layer of interest for me here, because my eye really catches the directional hooking. This is, earlier I was talking about Dion Fitzpatrick and how brilliant she has established. In my mind, she owns the idea of doing this intermittent dark outlining. This is her brainchild. She does it better than this style better than anyone. But I feel like the style of outlining in black is very, very strong among Canadians, and I think it is because the Dion Fitzpatrick sort of school of design it has become the Canadian school of design. I see more Canadians than Americans hooking in this style, and it is so smart. It is so smart. It's a great problem solver, and it creates great contrast, but it looks more like a wood etching than it does a cartoon because it's intermittent, right? So smart. And this piece is particularly smart because the directional hooking creates great contrast and gives such extra bling to the fact that this is a hooked piece, right, and not a painting. It's like a hat tip to rug hookers, besides being this evocative painting. So many comments coming in on this one. Jessica Tracers, wow, wow, wow. How does she do that watercolor look? Is it in one piece dyed that way? So Jessica, I think in this case, it is possibly a color changing piece, an ombre piece. You could do it in two different ways. You could either hook a piece of color changing, not necessarily ombre, because ombre would, for example, go blue to light blue or yellow to light yellow. This is a maybe painted wool pieces that go yellow to gray to blue with a lot of white in between. You can hook stuff that way, or you can hook it in one color, for example, white, and then paint it once it's hooked. You could do it either way, right? There's different benefits to both of those approaches, but you can get this effect of dragging color with both of those techniques, right? You have more flexibility and freedom when you are painting it after it's hooked, but it can be done in both ways. If you are hooking pieces that have color changes, right, and you know they're the right color changes, blue to yellow in a lot of white neutral, you are more at the mercy of the unpredictability of the way that strip hooks up if you're hooking a pre-colored piece. When you're hooking white and you only want the splotches to land in certain places, you can only force that to happen if you paint it after it's already hooked. You see what I mean? Either, Jessica, either is in your wheelhouse, that's without a doubt. This is just unbelievable. Andrea, this is just unbelievable. I mean, it's just incredible. I like talking about the different schools of hooking too, because I would know this was a Canadian piece anywhere. It just has the feel. You get used to seeing it, right? Canadians work, and there is more of a gallery, right? We talked about this in this episode too. More of a gallery scene in Canada than there is in the U.S. at this moment. And we do get more of this sort of anonymous feel. This has more facial characterization than most anonymous type pieces do. So that's interesting too, right? It is very melancholy. That was the right word. It's just a gorgeous piece. It's an incredible piece. There's so much going on here. I'm looking at it too. It's just stunning. I love the directional hooking, and I love how behind her head there isn't directional hooking, right? It does make me think the way that gray is landing on the yellow to the right of her head, it does make me feel like that might be painted, that part. I don't know. It could just be strategic placement. You can see where the dark is coming up and you just place it strategically. Just amazing. So, all right, let me go to our thank you so much, Andrea. That was absolutely stunning. Chrissy sent in something fun and funny. This is different. This is the last entry of the night. Chrissy, you always send something fun, I have to say. You are such a fun person. I found this rug at a flea market and fell in love with it. It looks fairly old and worn. I'm wondering if this is punch needle. I don't punch, so I'm not sure. Wanted to get your thoughts on it. I love the details and the design. It had to be time consuming with all of the color changing and details. Thank you, Chrissy Glenn. Chrissy, let's look at this together. And you all help me with this too. Let me unlock this and let's see what we got. I'm going to stretch it as much as I can. Instinct-wise, okay. Ooh, I would love to see the back of this. I think it is punched, and I think it is punched the other way around. I think this is probably a fairly early example of the contra punch, which is using the wrong side. So the side that you're working on turns out to be the finished side. That's what it looks like to me. What does it all look like to you? It is super geometric. It has the feel of the rugs that the Guatemala women make, right, at Multicolores. It has that feel. It's more colorful. It's got shades of Native American design. It's got basic geometric designs. This is a true scrappity pappity hit or miss rug, without a doubt. This to me looks like an all American scrappity pappity hit or miss. They used what they had. There was no, there, well, I shouldn't say there was no. You could see there is an attempt to balance. There was an attempt originally to have a motif in the center. Let me make it small again now that I think we got the information that we wanted. Judy's right. She said that this is happy and, oops, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm screwing things up. Plenty. Wait a minute. Sorry. Okay, wait a minute. Oh, come on, Deanna. Seriously? I just want to make this small again. Judy says, happy and hectic. Oh, I love that. That's a great title for a book. Happy and hectic. Oh, wouldn't that be a fun book? You got a book in you, Judy? That could be really fun, right? Just transforming the chaos of one's life into beautiful hooked rugs and punch rugs and every kind of rug. That is fun. Looks like punch, wrong side facing. Like it's like a maze. I agree, Olivia. That's exactly what it looks like to me too. Maybe there was an attempt at one point to have some kind of symmetry here. Maybe there was just a celebration in the hectic quality. I like the word hectic. It is chaotic. It is controlled chaos. It is so beautiful. You can see that even though there isn't symmetry and there isn't an overall design, you can see that for every section there is a commitment to the section. That really is a thing, isn't it? I mean, that is its own thing. There is the stripe down the center with the diamonds. It's done perfectly. And there's 4 diamonds in the center. Perfect. If you look right above it, you have 2 squares that have a matching pattern there. Maybe even a trio. It looks almost like the cloisters. It looks almost architectural. You can see that for every respective section, there's some wavy lines that look like staircases. There is a commitment to what the idea was for that fill. Granted, every fill area is irregular. Oh, Chrissy, did you send a picture of the backside? Oh man, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. You said it's a hot mess. Well, I love a hot mess. I can relate to a hot mess, that's for sure. Let me see if I can pull that up really quickly. I'm sorry, Chrissy. That's me being a ding-dong. Let's look at the hot mess side really quick. Gallery night, there we are. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. You sent a few more pictures. Okay, here it comes. Let me see if I can show this to you. Super hot mess. I wonder if this is going to change the way that we think. And let me see if I can even get it into focus. Ooh, that's not bad, is it? You know, I'm starting to wonder if it is a needlepoint rug. You see what I mean? No, I don't think it is a needlepoint rug. Because it's worked from the other side, right? So all of the tails would be on this side. And, ooh, Chrissy, I'm so sorry I missed the detail. It is packed, right? If you're wondering what packed looks like, this is packed. It doesn't change the effectiveness of the rug on the right side, but it is packed. We are not seeing the Amy Oxford style little channels in between each line of color. We are definitely not seeing those. Maybe over here in this area you are more, but then it gets into chaos. It's almost like a mood, like mood swings, right? My mom sent me the funniest meme the other day. It's called When Mood Swings Go Too Far, and it's actually like a childhood swing attached to a tree that's like set on fire. Kind of reminds me of this rug. It's like there's mood swings here. There's moments of absolute control and precision, and then it goes to like wild chaos. And hey, all crafts, right, can be used very effectively for therapy. I'm not saying the person who made this was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I'm just saying there's a lot of feeling in this rug. There's a lot of energy in this rug. There is a little bit of chaos in this rug. But man, Chrissy, this is a good find. This is a good find. I wonder if you spent a lot for this. I just in terms of if I saw this, if I saw this and I was having a great day out and I thought I'm gonna stifle the common sense that tells me don't buy any more rugs. You don't need any more. If I was in the mood to buy a rug and I was going to buy this rug, I would say that this rug should sell because of the absolute originality, the energy of it, the color, the total unique approach to hit or miss. I'd say this rug should go for like 150, 170. I really do. I know it's not in perfect condition. but I think it represents so many things that are central to rug hooking and punch. And I do think it's an early punch. I think they're using a tool. $30 is fantastic. I think they're using an early version of a punch. I don't think this is an Oxford thing at all. So I think it's incredible that they managed to be this successful. You can see by looking at the photos of the back that I just showed that it might have been frustrating at times, and they might have wondered whether things were going okay. Well, it looks like things were going okay because they finished it, right? So that's part of the story of this rug. This rug has got heavy, heavy storytelling layers. Really, really pretty. Um, Kirsten says, could it be hooked, but with a lot of traveling on the back? Um, it's not impossible. I don't think so. I don't think so. Unless we are seeing the reverse of the hooking, because those loops were so low, they couldn't possibly be the front, or many of them would have pulled out. I think many of them would have pulled out. I think we're seeing the back of a hooked or punched rug, but I think it's way more likely a punched rug. And the fact that we're seeing all the tails on the back reinforces the fact that it's a punched rug. They just kind of punched it, cut and run, right? Just left it with the tails hanging crazy. So not impossible, not impossible. Judy says, I would so love to know the backstory of this piece. Me too. Me too. It could have been a bee. It could have been a hooking or a punching bee done by several people. It could have been done in a school. There's lots of things that this could have been. It doesn't necessarily, it's a funny hit or miss piece because it's meant to be compartmentalized, right? It's not like, oh shoot, I ran out of red. No, they're using like bits of red all throughout, and it's not centralized. It's not like, let's put all the red in this one motif so that that reads as whatever, a diamond, and that makes sense. They're really spreading all of the colors out to every part, which makes me think the way that it's compartmentalized, that it could be more than one person working on this. Let me see if I can show you the bottom of it too, all the way down here. It could be one person who just loves color, hit or miss, never had any intention of making it more cohesive, but this person was also super at peace with the entire rug being a hit or miss piece, and it's not a small rug. I don't know the dimensions, but you can tell this is not a small rug. It's not like they were like, let me just try and get a feel for what I'm doing. They made a larger rug look like this throughout. There's a big backstory going on here. This is super unusual. Um, you do see punched rugs, you do see hit or miss punched rugs, you do see hit or miss hooked rugs, but this really is, I think, a hot mess of its own in the best possible way. Barbara says, um, Igst got and I Otis. Ooh, that was like a tongue twister. It went away. It went away. Um, I wonder if that was a weird typo that happened. I was struggling through. I would so love to see the backstory. And Kathy says, "Are the edges finished?" It looks like, you know what, Kathy, you're a genius. Hold on, let me open it again, because if the edges are turned under, then I would gun for it being. Oh, it does look like stained glass. You're right. Um, Diane, it does have that quality, doesn't it? If the edges are turned under, then I'm thinking maybe it is a hooked piece. You know what? I think the edges are turned under. I think the edges are turned under. I think it is a hooked piece. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. Not that it's impossible to turn the edges down for a punched piece. I just, it would be so insanely rare. I don't know. It's hard to tell how the edges are finished, but it looks like it's turned under and just punched or hooked through two layers because there is no edge. It's not finished on either side. Interesting, Kathy. Good one. That's a good thought. You got right in there with something really, really brilliant. Is that an 8 or a symbol in the lower left? Ooh, let's find out. I feel like I just saw the number 1 as well. Let's see. I wonder if this would make sense to someone somewhere. You know what I mean? Hold on one second. In the lower left, let me bring it back over here. There's a lot of multiples of stuff. I wonder in the lower 8, in the lower right, I'm sorry. No, I think it's triangles. I think it's diamonds and maybe an hourglass. Um, Gosh, it's such an interesting piece, isn't it? Isn't this a piece? Wouldn't you love to stand over this piece and look at it really close up? Chrissy, you're very lucky to have this. Um, Diamond shape. Oh, wow. I see the cross. You know, it really is. This is absolutely intriguing. Yeah, I see a cross there too. This is absolutely intriguing. No backstory, right, Chrissy? No backstory at all. We can only make deductions because this is a wacky piece. Now, you know, this again, like I'm not layering any craziness onto this, but you know what this reminds me of? I was just reading. Melissa Gauthier and I go back and forth a lot with books about Victorian crimes and true crimes and stuff. And it so happened this week um, that, and you might not already know this story because this is not new. This is not new news, but I was for some reason in my Audible, and I thought, you know what? I haven't listened to Anne Perry for a while. Do you know where I'm going with this? I've listened to like and read all of Anne Perry's books forever. She's got like 50 Victorian mystery stories with Inspector. What were her detectives' names? One was Monk. I forget what the first one was. The first one was she had forever. Anyway, did you know that Anne Perry, when she was a young woman, actually committed a murder? She helped her friend murder the friend's mother. And I don't mean with poison. It is quite a story, and I listened to it for free on Audible. It was called The Crime of the Century. I think that's a pretty boring title for what it is, but what a story. I thought it wasn't super graphic. I thought it was going to be at the beginning, and it wasn't because I can't handle that. Man, what a story. Talk about the fact that she's such a famous person, right, is interesting, but talk about complications in one's mind for both girls, her and the friend that did this crime together. The thing that it made me think of was, I mean, there's like lots with the trial. It's a very interesting book, and it was free for me on Audible. So if you have Audible, it might be free for you too. If you enjoy true crime, it was an incredible story. I did not know this story, so it really blew me away. But the friend, as a young girl, was called Pauline, and as an older woman, her name changed to Hillary. Protection, and they allowed the girls, because they were minors, to serve time, and then they had new identities and they were able to give life another shot. Sadly, the mother, who was bludgeoned to death, could not do that, but all the same, um, Pauline, in her house, when she sold her house, this is like modern. They're both still. Oh no, I think Anne Perry might have passed away. I'm not sure if Pauline is still alive. They were until recently. I think if Anne Perry passed away, it was recent. But this is very contemporary. She moved, and when she moved, there was this crazy, chaotic mural that she had painted on the wall that was her therapy. And when you listen to the book, and then you can pull the mural up on the internet, and man, all of these compartments, like this rug, all of these different compartments that you see where she's represented, where Anne, the beautiful Anne, you know, she's gorgeous as a young woman, is represented. You see angels, you see demons, you see all of these motifs in this giant mural that she painted over the course of, I'm sure, many years in her house. That must have been her therapy as a much older woman who became a devout Roman Catholic. Thought about being a nun for a while, but didn't go through with the final vows. Totally changed her life around. A total recluse and a hermit. Unbelievable. But I'll tell you, the look of that mural, I'm not drawing parallels, but the look of that mural reminds me of the look of this rug. All of the different compartments, different stories in each compartment, different color stories in each department. One cohesive piece, but very disjointed in terms of color and patterning, unexpected. Um, so interesting. Yeah. What a party. Oh, let me catch up on the talk and then we will sign off. Kind of looks like a weaving. It does. It's so heavily, there's such heavy textile. I think that's why. I think I'm leaning toward punch still. It might be hooked, but I think it's punched. And I think it was punched rather frantically, chaotically. It could be that the person improved as they went on, but it's a large piece to start with, which says to me it might not be a first piece. It might just be that whoever made this did punch or hook chaotically, and that was their style. What a party! What part of the country, Chrissy? What part of the country are you in? I'm getting a desert Southwest vibe, maybe a mashup of classic weaving themes. Interesting. And Chrissy says, I'm in Georgia. Judy says, I used to read her books, and then my sister told me that story, and I got kind of freaked out, to be honest. It is so freaky. It is so over the top. Um, that makes, now, like listening to her stories again, it makes some of them seem like insane moralizing. And I wouldn't have gotten that through the first read, right? She became such kind of like a soapbox moralizer in retrospect, again. Um, Up in the mountains, are you in Dogwood Guild, Chrissy? I'm going to let you guys finish this conversation. Let you girls finish this conversation before I log off. Yes, I'm a member of Dogwood. Amazing. Ooh, connection there. Andrea, great to see you. You made it really late tonight. Holy mackerel, you better go to bed. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope everybody's feeling well. I hope everybody who's been feeling sick is feeling better. I hope where it's been raining, it turns sunny. I hope where it's hot and miserable and humid, it turns nice and cool. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I will be with you on Monday. Maybe we'll conclude our look at the current issue of AFA. That would be a lot of fun. And then we'll project forward and see if we can get my buddy Rebecca to be with us next Friday night to look at the rug show that just happened at the McGowan Guild in Sturbridge, Massachusetts. Um, oh, I hope that you meet up. I love it when you all find each other. It was a lot of variety, Barbara, right? That was, everybody sent in such different things. Really interesting. Olivia's saying, is anyone in Ireland? And remember, if you're watching this video afterward, because it is super late there, put a comment into it so you can all find each other, right? That is it's such a good thing, as Jane Austen would say, when good people find each other, and they always do. I will see you on Monday. Thumbs up. Thank you so much, Patreon supporters, channel supporters. I am working on the haunted rug. I think I have 1 or 2 patterns left. If you are in, they are very offbeat ones that I was going to do, but I am resigned to knowing I can only do 8 more or something like that in the time that I've got. Have a great weekend to you too, Kaz. I will see everybody at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday when we return to the current ATHA magazine. Happy weekend.